Our story begins in a paradise place somewhere high in the sky. In weightlessness on a paradise bed lay our hero. When he woke up, he saw that it was too bright and he didn't realize where he was. But what confused him even more was that he was naked and had no clothes on. He looked a little higher and saw something that dumbfounded him. He thought for a second that he was dead. In front of him stood a majestic man with white hair and huge English wings. He asked this uncle if he was God. This magical man came very close to him, examined him and nodded his head approvingly. But such closeness frightened the lad. He asked him, "Uncle, and who are you after all? Where are we? A few hours ago our protagonist was sleeping peacefully at home. Now he is in an incomprehensible place, and does not understand how he got here at all." A white man who looked like a wise man told the guy that he was very lucky to be here, and then he turned around and went into some kind of portal. But the guy couldn't move. He heard some conversations coming from the portal, heard about some kind of vessel for the furnace, and then he heard someone telling someone to enjoy themselves. The lad was frightened when he heard about the furnace. "Furnace is no good, let me out." But he didn't scream for long. A beautiful woman in a transparent dress appeared in front of him in a flash. She came up to him and told him it was time to sleep. The guy fell into a stupor for a few seconds. Then he thought it was some kind of goddess. She got excited and wanted to touch her. But then he grabbed her hand and told her to get ready. The guy still couldn't believe he was doing it. He grabbed her arms and threw her on the bed. Then he realized it wasn't a dream as he could feel and see everything. It's definitely not a dream. It's so cool. Then behind him he heard someone talking. They were saying something about a furnace that had to be executed 9 times already by order of the elder. It's useless. Sooner or later it will be destroyed along with its evil appearance. Why does the saint interfere every time? 2 people wearing black masks appeared in front of the guy. He just sat naked, while the guy was pondering what to do next, because the situation was not the clearest he had ever seen in his life. He saw a burst of magic, as if something had started beating those 2 people with electricity. Everything happened so fast that he didn't have time to realize. In front of him stood this girl in a transparent dress, with a magic blade in her hand and blood spattering around her. He now realized that she had killed the 2 people who had just appeared in front of him. When she was done with them, she turned round to face him and looked at him beautifully. The guy was scared and said it was nothing and he could go back to sleep. He immediately fell on the bed and pretended like he was asleep and didn't see anything wrong. The divine lady then did everything with the guy that was necessary for them to have children. Everything was happening very fast. The girl turned around and was about to leave, but the guy stopped her and asked if he could see their baby. The beautiful lady turned round to face him and told him to follow her. He immediately got off the bed and obediently followed his lady. Before they got to the place, he asked her who was his boy or girl. The lady replied that she had given birth to 7 children, at which the lad was very much surprised. He did not understand whether it was possible to give birth to so many at one time. His companion looked at him with her red eyes and the guy quieted down. He said he was just joking so she wouldn't worry. "It's okay." The divine lady opened a portal right in the middle of nowhere in the air, and they went into this portal. It was all very different. There were people in white walking around with wings and sometimes you could see feathers flying around. The boy was very surprised, and he asked his lady and what was this place. The lady's name was Lin Huanhuan, and she answered that it was the celestial, the heavenly sanctuary. The guy's next question was if they are all gods, to which he answered yes. He also asked if all gods need a furnace. The lady answered him that she practiced the secret methods of the 7 races, but my lineage, so I needed a furnace. Then maybe you have some pretty sisters who need to bake too. I don't mind the hard work. The goddess said no, but the annoying guy kept going and told her not to be so stingy. But the lady immediately took out her magic blade and put it to his neck, telling him to shut up. The boy immediately replied that he would shut up, and the lady let him go. While they were in that place, he heard whispers behind him. The deities that were there were talking to each other, pointing their fingers at the guy. But the guy felt fine. Even if they are all jealous or envious, who it is useless because their saint is now his wife. They came to one of the heavenly temples. They looked very beautiful and high quality. The divine lady threw a spatial ring into his hand and said, "I can store living beings." The guy's eyes lit up, and he said that it looked like a sign of love. He put the ring on his ring finger, and was clearly happy about the gift. He said that it was a very unexpected gift, and the girl replied that they had to go. They approached the center of the room where the small child was. "This is the Baal, this child is so cute, be sure to follow your father. There were actually 7 children, but only one of them inherited the blood of the gods. Therefore, the heavenly clan decided to kill me and the 6 children who were without abilities. The divine lady replied that she would help him so that he wouldn't be destroyed. This of course interested the guy, and he said, how can you help me with this? A spatial ring, it can contain living beings. Then the lady used this ring because of the printing of the guy in the ring, and then turned it into a blade. Now that he had learned how to use the magic of the ring, she released him, and at the same moment many deities began to approach them with clear intentions to kill them. The goddess pulled out her blade, showing her strength and her unwillingness to surrender. She went into battle mode and said that now all the pursuers would die. Her attacks were so powerful that she vaporized anyone who touched her magic. Angel Saint's eye is complete. After giving birth to a child and purifying her blood, she became stronger. Saint is going to ascend to Tianlan's shrine otherwise. The goddess told the guy to go to the altar, and she would help him, and he could take it easy. He approached the altar and a huge pillar of fire flew up from there. The guy stopped in front of it. He then stood for a few seconds and asked his wife if they could see each other again. She replied that after she ascended to the Tianlan sanctuary, she would no longer have anything to do with the lower worlds. This guy asked her what would happen to their children. She said they were just material for her blood purification, and she didn't want to see them. He was disturbed by such words. Could such a cold-blooded man say such words to his children? My child's mother, Lin Huan, doesn't deserve to be a mother from these children. Regardless of who they are, I will raise them. They must leave this shitty shrine. The lady prepared to do what she was about to do, and nothing could stop her. She had great power. She was feared by all, and everyone was willing to bow down to her. The following events take place 7 years later, in the village of Xianen, a very nice and peaceful place. An angel was talking to an old man. This old man was the headman of this village. The angel turned to him and asked if they had found this man. In the village of Xianen everything is fine, there are no intruders, but the angel said that he will check again next year. The headman asked that they be notified in advance next year, and he would prepare home-cooked meals for them. The angel said he was too kind. Speaking of which, I haven't eaten human food in years. I don't mind trying your food. But suddenly the angel smelled a very pleasant aromatic odor that made him hungry in a way he had not felt before. A large crowd had gathered in front of the entrance of an establishment. Everyone was hungry and wanted to start eating as soon as possible. They were greeted by a small succubus girl. Her name was Lu Bingbing, and she said that today they had new dishes, a hot pot. She was walking around with her favorite whip. I said everyone should queue up and no one should be in a hurry. Monkeys should be humble. Angel decided to check out what was going on there. He sat on the doorstep and decided to transform himself. He hid his wings to look like normal people and went into that establishment. Inside he saw people who were either very hungry or very eager to just try the food that was being sold here. There was a lot of excitement at the checkout. Everyone was almost fighting for a place in the queue. They had their money ready and were shouting, "Let us in, we want a hot pot." Inside, some people were already seated, smiles on their faces, happily eating the food. On the table was a flavorful dish, just cooked, still very hot. Angel asked, "What is it?" The succubus girl told him not to ask to stay in the queue. Meanwhile, the angel had already prepared his money to taste this dish. He quickly ran to take his place in the queue. But he is an angel, why does he need food? But standing in the queue, he thought about the fact that he seemed to have just been charmed. Very strange, this girl, she has the blood of the succubus clan. Is she so pure? There are many different races in this world. Our race possesses the eye of justice besides the huge fighting power. The other races also have their unique abilities. The succubus ability is their enchantment. Last time when Old Man Lu made stinky tofu, everyone threw up. But it tasted great. How could so stinky food be delicious? It must be because of that succubus girl. Angel stopped one laborer and wanted to ask him something. He gave him a piece of paper and he said it looked like a portrait of Old Man Lu. Are you a fan? Actually, it was a warrant for the arrest of a first-class criminal. I think he opened your restaurant. Old Lu's reputation has spread not only to 10 miles and 8 townships, but even among the townspeople like you. Angel realized he was close to the target, and he told himself he'd catch him now. But then he noticed a man eating food and he was hungry. Then he said to himself that no, I'd better eat first, and then return to his sanctuary. The queue was very long, and the angel waited until the evening. He was happy because at last his turn had come and he could finally eat the food he had been waiting for all this time. Well, just as it was his turn, the succubus girl told him that I'm sorry, but we're closed. And then she used her whip and slammed it loudly in the air. That was the signal for no one else to come here. Some people had been standing here all morning and never got a taste of this new dish, but Angela couldn't stand it, and he said he wanted to at least find out what the pot tasted like. Please, please, please let me taste it, and I'll drink this soup. He tried to be cunning and said he hadn't eaten in 3 days. Please let me eat. The girl insisted and said that the place was closed for the day, but the angel shouted that he was a fan of Lu Yunting. Let me eat. Finally his efforts were not in vain, and someone told him to come in. He quickly flew into the room where the tables were and sat down at a table. Then the waiter came and offered him a menu to choose what he wanted. Angel looked at the guy and saw in him an unusual purity. What a purity of gods! This guy was a god. His name was Dabo. The angel thought he must be a child of the gods who fell here and now works as a waiter. Dabo was a celestial, inherited from his mother who was called Lin Huanhuan, the purest blood of the gods, practiced the secret methods of the gods, inherited the eye of justice. His combat power is very great. As a person he was very responsible, always ready to help his father's decision-making, and generally a very extremely intelligent child. After looking at the list of dishes, the angel said he picked out what he wanted. He said he wanted all the dishes I have here on this list. The white-haired guy wrote it down in his notebook, and went to the kitchen to place the order to be fulfilled. There were already 2 people in the kitchen working on cooking. It was a father and son. The son had fire magic, and he was heating the pan where everything was cooking, and the father was adding ingredients. Great, that's the last course for today. Just a little more and we'll finish the job for today. The father patted his son on the head and said that he did well and he did a good job. He replied that it was all small things. Now he's going to go play. Then the guy with the red hair came out of the kitchen and invited his older brother to come and play together. Well, his brother told him to leave first, and he would come back to him after he billed the customer. Angel still marveled at the purity of these kids, such pure blood of the Wuhua clan. This guy, what kind of monsters he raised. The guy Mila passed by Angel said how long his hair was, he should burn it, but it was just a joke, and he just wanted to make a joke on the man in front of him. Excellent. This dish should be at the imperial banquet of the gods Na. Angel enjoyed his meal until he had eaten everything that was brought to him from the kitchen. Finally, when he finished his meal, he sat satisfied and stroked his belly. Sir, this watermelon is a gift from our little restaurant. Come visit us again sometime. This surprised the customer, and he said that this service is really awesome. We give it to everyone who eats a dish called hot pot, so to speak, it's a mini tradition. The owner of the place noticed that piece of paper with his face on it. He thought the man was a fan. So much of a fan of his food that he even carries his portrait with him. And then his son picked it up, and he noticed that it was his father's arrest warrant. Dad is an arrest warrant, and this man is one of the soldiers of the gods. Kids, one of the gods is here to catch your daddy. Let's chase him away. All of his children heard this, and they quickly gathered together. One of the first to run up was an elf girl called Lulan, and the succubus eyes immediately lit up. No one dare touch her daddy. Another son entered the room. It was the 5th son, and his name was Lu Xin. He was from an ancient race. Also in the room entered the 6th son, whose name was Lu Qin. He was also called Asura. And a little girl who was with the 7th daughter, named Lui. She was also called Shaman. All of his children gathered in his defense. No one dared to approach him to harm him. Daddy, we are all here. Beat the bad people. Beat the bad people. This time the divine man was shocked. An ancient race and a shamaness. This is a family of villains. This is our Baal, also known as Lu Qing of the Wuhua clan, gold incarnation, sun incarnation, high compatibility with fire, can transform into a phoenix, but it is most likely when the deities from this clan reach the highest realm, awakens the fire winds. As a personality, Lu Qing is impulsive, very fond of his older brother, fidgety, passionate, the only one who wants his mother back. His favorite phrase sounds like burn it. Well, I think it's time to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already and give it a like, and we'll get on with it. Angel began to analyze red hair, angular face, upper body naked, well-defined muscles, usually wears yellow shorts, explosive fighting ability. This is Asura, and on his right is an elf blood inheritor, has a super sensitive ability, can sense changes in the environment, super sensitive hearing, After awakening, the blood can affect the environment and control all living things. Can control the elements around them, can fly at low altitudes. This is an elf. The red-haired guy delivered his crushing blow with explosive force. Angel managed to bounce back. He thought how strong they were. I don't understand how, but they were all born from this guy. Who is he? And now a little memory. The father sat with his children and told them the story of their mum. He said that he and their mum had to part. He said that their mum was crying her heart out, and it was all the fault of the gods. It was then that the children hated all gods, and they were ready to defend their father to the last drop of blood. Now it's all the power that can come down on this ordinary warrior angel. The white-haired lad's eye of justice opened on his forehead. The angel was surprised by this because he was still at a very young age. It usually takes longer for this to happen. The white-haired guy made an attack and crumbled the place where their still recent visitor was sitting. The divine warrior once again managed to dodge. He was surprised that this young fellow could already attack physical bodies. At such a young age can use such a level of attack. The son of a god, bright future. If you tell the elder, the whole family will definitely be shocked. The angel turned to the boy and said that if he went with him he would let the others go. But his brothers and sisters of course disagreed. They never left their own in danger. But no sooner had he spoken than he was immediately hit in the face with a powerful punch. The children screamed for him to bring their mum back, as they thought he had something to do with them growing up without a mum. The guy with the power of fire became very angry. Rage came and his hands ignited with bright yellow flames. The young elf girl was also very angry. She used her magic to attack the intruder. They all prepared for battle, and were ready to tear the one who wanted to take their father and brother away. You're too young to use your powers properly. You can't catch me. He also said something to the effect that in 10 years they'd be able to sort out their powers a bit. But no sooner had he finished than he saw something that shocked him. A mortal of the human race. He wields the eye of God's justice. Where did he get this ability from? Already a mere mortal. Finally the children began to really attack the warrior angels. The white-haired guy was doing damage at range. The red-haired hellcat ran up to him and used his fire magic. The little girl turned into a bird and did equally powerful damage to him. The young succubus then grabbed him by the neck with her whip, and at the same moment the physically strongest son ran at him. From his powerful blow the intruder flew very far away. An ordinary man in his place would have died from this blow. But still in flight, the red-haired boy caught up with him and gave him a series of powerful blows. Angel fell to the floor bleeding, realizing that he couldn't beat them now. As I finished defeating him, something else not so nice came from above. The girl who did it started to mock him, and shouted that he was a villain. Xiao Lu, also known as Lu Chun, was from the Asura race. He was a demon. He possessed the highest fighting power among the 7 children. Passionate and warlike, he has 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes. As a personality he was very irritable, often being in dangerous places, but could handle any difficulties by himself without needing any help. He was very ruthless, and his favorite phrase was like this: "I can't help myself." The girl standing over the angel's body said 3 times the words, "All that is in the world will be forgotten. All that is in the world will be forgotten. All that is in the world will be forgotten." Then she told father it was done, and father told her she was a good girl and patted her on the head. "Children, you need to clean the house after the battle. Daddy will take out the rubbish." He had magic too. He rolled up his sleeves and started using his magic. Grabbing the angel by his clothes he told him he'd help pay his bill. With a swift movement of his hand he ripped off his trousers and threw it to his son, telling him to throw it away. And then he took the divine being who lay unconscious by the leg and dragged him away. At last he came to a big river. There was a raft prepared in advance. The father of the divine children put his offender on the raft, bowed before him and asked for forgiveness. He didn't want to do it, but everything he did was for the sake of his children. Pushed the wooden raft away with his foot and sent the angels traveling down the river. About to leave he saw a succubus behind him. She stood looking at him. It was a fairly mature individual. She looked very seductive, and was naturally very beautiful. He cried out to her, "Big sister ghost woman or what?" She smiled sweetly and said yes, and then asked him if he was scared. "I'm not scared. I even have the guts to send Sadako to maternity leave." The succubus motioned for the guy to come closer to her, enticing him with her gorgeous body. It's hard for any man to resist the charms of succubi, especially this guy was not known for his patience. But something was clearly wrong here. The succubus was thinking about getting him as close to her as possible, this stupid man. Then with threats the succubus attacked the guy, and hit him with her whip. But he reacted quickly, and used his magic, opened his third eye and immobilized the succubus. Then gave her a crushing blow with his magic and knocked her down. Bing Bing's charm will be stronger than yours. You wanted to charm me, who has 7 children with a goddess, silly! These words made the succubus angry. She hissed like a cat and started attacking again. She tried to hit the guy with her whip, but he was surprisingly too fast. He yelled for her not to do that again, but she was still angry and wanted to win. She delivered blow after blow but couldn't hit the target. This guy was too fast. Even if you want to be the mother of my children, I can't accept you. Now let's talk a little bit about Xiaozi, also called Li, also known as a shaman. She can make sacrifices to the sky to get healing powers. A nanny who takes care of the animals in the house. Has some of the powers due to restriction. Her personality is sweet, very sweet, and her favorite phrase is daddy. Succubus screamed that he can't win. He can only count on it in his dreams. In an instant the guy transformed. He summoned the power of a titan and his arms became huge, muscular and powerful. He shouted that a woman who can't be a mother to a child is a bad woman. He gave her such a crushing blow that she flew kilometers away. Then the man with divine power opened the eye of justice. He knew what he was doing. But since the succubus is a demon, she couldn't be killed so easily, and she rose up even more enraged. Now she started to dodge his attacks. Even though the guy was aiming at her with the eye of justice, she managed to dodge. She was at his back in a flash, and was about to deliver a powerful blow. But something she didn't expect happened. A bright firelight shone around him. He summoned a huge powerful spirit, which he controlled with his hands. He made a couple of slight movements, and knocked the succubus to the ground. She lay on the floor exhausted. The blow was so powerful that it broke off her horn. She lay there bleeding, completely bewildered. How is this possible? I don't believe it. This is no mere mortal. How can a mortal be so strong? He jumped to her this pit he created and said he was just learning from his children. He grabbed the succubus' hand and she thought he was a pervert. What is he doing? He replied that he just wanted to see what he could bring to his children. He started looking at her and asked where do succubi put things when they go outside? The succubus pointed her finger at a small round object on her hip. I said they put all their stuff in here. He immediately grabbed her by the belt and thanked her. Something for the kids to enjoy. The succubus screamed that he was a pervert. Succubi rely on their attractiveness to attract the opposite sex. Letting down the enemy's guard uses their secret skills to defeat the enemy. Succubi are themselves very conservative. She thought he'd do something bad to her, something that succubi usually do to humans. But to her surprise, the guy just turned around and walked away. He was walking and thinking about his daughter, who was also a succubus, and was glad he was bringing her something she could use. This man just left. I prepared for the worst and he just left. He said 3 sentences and they were all about kids. That's what a real dad looks like. But she was still angry. She was shouting at him that he was a fool and a moron. A magic spotlight shone out of her hand, and there was someone's horned head peering out. She said that she had thrown him off and thought he would be back soon. But the one who appeared to her said that he didn't believe her because she was covered in mud from head to toe. You were obviously more hurt than he was. This clearly pissed her off, and she screamed for the talking head to shut up. Lucian, ancient race, he was a titan, high growth rate, fast body growth, big appetite, fat well cute can fight as a tank. Practices physical skills, self-repair ability is very strong. As a personality he is a very honest and hardworking guy. His favorite and most frequent phrase is sorry I broke it again. He can smash a mountain with one punch. I didn't expect to get anything just by taking a walk. As he approached the house, our hero saw a man in the backyard, working out hard with a barbell. This old man was lifting weights much bigger than he was and his body looked quite athletic. He didn't even know they had such a strong headman. He looked at him for a few minutes and couldn't believe his eyes. The old man turned to him and said, Xiao Lu, the door is not closed, come in. And Xiao Lu asked why the headman was still awake. It was so late. I've never seen the headman working so hard before. The headman said he was getting old, so he was getting worried. There are more and more old people these days, and I don't want to get old so fast. The headman took the kettle that was on the table beside him and started to drink water directly from it. Xiao Lu, if one day your child needs your protection, will you work hard? Of course I'll work hard. I'd do anything for my children. But I don't think my children need my protection, they can take care of themselves. Xiao Lu, if one day this village needs your protection, will you help them? Of course I'll help, but with such a headman, I don't think it's necessary. Xiao Lu, if this village is beyond saving, then you just take the children and get out of here. If you take my wine, I'll take it as your promise. The old man put on his clothes and immediately changed. The clothes seemed to hide all his muscles, and not even a trace of him exercising could be seen. Xiao Lu, you can go home and I'll go to bed now. Sleep schedule is very important. Whatever happens first, I have to go home. The kids must be waiting for me. Then Lu drank the drink the old man gave him. It wasn't like wine. Finally father came home. Children, your daddy is back. Why are you still awake? Father quickly counted his children. One child was missing. Why do you only have 6? He asked Brother Su what had happened and where his child was, and he said his child had been kidnapped. The father was very frightened. He asked who kidnapped his child. I only saw a group of beautiful girls that made Brother Su feel dizzy. They were all on their way out of the village before we even realized. Sanbao, what is translated as the third treasure, also known as Lulan, inherited the blood of elves, has super perception ability, can change the dimension of the environment, can sound everything. After awakening, the blood can even affect the environment, can control all creatures, can control all elements of the environment around. Her personality is withdrawn, doesn't talk much with her siblings, likes to talk to animals. But this conversation looks like a simple mumbling strange sounds. Now is the time to subscribe if you haven't already, dear friend, and put a like. First you need to get your kids away to prevent the rest of them from being stolen. This uncle was desperate to stop me. If Big Brother didn't explain it to me, I would think he was on the side of the bad people. Uncle Su is afraid that we can catch up with them and get ambushed by the enemy. He is very kind. Thank you, brother. I will catch up with them right away. To which the brother replied that he is really a good father, so worried about Xiao Chen's safety. No, I'm more worried about those beautiful girls who kidnapped my son, because I am sure that Xiao Chen will never break. He is very strong. Then the father quickly rushed after his son, while telling them to let go of the child and go to him. The children stood wondering when their father would grow up. Then they came to the conclusion that it was a very difficult question. He ran faster than the wind, fast enough to catch a bird on the fly. That's exactly what he did. He grabbed a passing bird, and he turned to it. Friend, did you see the child held by a group of girls? If so, tell me. When the bird said he hadn't seen anything, he ran to another bird. He would catch a new bird and then ask them if they had seen the group of girls who were holding the child hostage. Finally, one of the birds answered that he was running the wrong way. They were in the other direction. It was the succubi of the Red Demon Cave. The group of girls had taken the child to this very cave. Lu thanked the bird, and let it go. Then he started running in the direction the bird pointed him. Finally he came to the Red Demon's cave where his son was supposed to be. In this cave there were many succubi, and they called to their mistress saying that they had returned. Then their mistress appeared. She had the longest horns. She said they had done a great job. She stood over the kid's body with demonic power, saying that my lord was not wrong, and now they have answers. This kid's blood is great. Another 10 years and it would be hard to find an opponent for him on the entire continent. Perhaps he can fly already. It's so exciting. I can't wait to soak in his blood. Now let's not stall for time. Send him to my room, and quickly. The other succubi were loyal to their mistress. They replied that they would begin the task at once. Morning came and the children were already waiting for their father. They all sat and looked in the direction he was supposed to come from. Dad hasn't been back all night. He wasn't kidnapped by you girls, was he? Don't worry, that won't happen. He's strong. Anyway, we need to work normally. Let's go to the kitchen to prepare food. Each of the children set to work. Lu brought them up very well and with love. Some of them got to work cleaning. Some of them stoked the fire in the cooker. The elf came to the chickens. She had a blade in her hand and she said it was time to work. She said that in the next life they might not be chickens anymore. But the chickens got a strong panic attack from such words. The elfess put her blade into the stump and walked a few meters away from it. Then, hypnotizing the chickens, she told me to worry and come one at a time, and she closed her eyes and turned away. When I opened my eyes the next time, the deed was done. The chickens had plucked themselves of their feathers and were committing suicide to cook them later. She took the chicken carcasses and carried them to the kitchen, where I was waiting for the succubus with a knife to cut them up. The big guy had gone to the woods and brought back a lot of wood. In the kitchen the water was already boiling and they were adding different ingredients and spices. The children worked very well together, and each one had his own task which he fulfilled perfectly. I ran from night till dawn. This place is too far. Next time I won't go to save you. And so he came at last to the cave of the red demon, and stopped for a few seconds near the exit. He didn't doubt his son and thought that he would be back soon, so he decided to wait for him outside. Half a minute passed, and he called out to his son, and he called his son several times to come out of there, saying, "Xiao Lu, come out of there, it's time to go home." He was so angry that even the birds flew up into the sky, frightened by his shouts. Finally someone decided to come out to him. The succubus came out and asked what's all the noise. She looked tired as if she had just woken up, then asked who he was looking for. He started to say that yesterday they brought a 7-year-old child here. He is very dangerous. You must bring him back to me soon. This lady had very long horns. She said he was a fool to want them to give him his son. I'll say this for the last time. He's very dangerous. If you don't give him to me you'll regret it very much. The succubus decided to ignore him, and told him to leave because there was nothing to worry about. But the loving father couldn't leave his son. He said he would never leave this place. So he started his transformation. He used the eternal Titan fist, and with a shout, he was about to deliver a devastating blow. The girl looked at him and thought that this fool had probably lost his mind, but Lu punched the stone door with his fist, and it shattered into many stones, and the succubus girl just flew away from there. "Xiao Lu, be patient, we'll be back home soon." "But do I have to find him?" The huge red demon had already prepared to perform the ritual. It was a very sinister creature. The child with the demon's power was still unconscious and chained to a rock. A succubus named Hongling was watching. She was the guardian of this place. She knelt before the red demon and addressed him, saying that she had obtained the Tao child. The red demon raised his 3 prongs up in joy, and Sakusha asked him to reward her. The demon smiled, huge fangs sticking out of his mouth, and he said the word evil. The horned lady rejoiced at this word. Her eyes shone and a smile appeared on her face. The red demon told Hongling to go and enjoy her reward. The hot lady walked up to the guy and said that it was indeed very tasty and beautiful as for food. She used her devilish magic to get the guy off this dream they had plunged him into. The lad came to his senses, and immediately found that he was chained to a stone by very powerful chains. He immediately tried to break free from there, but even despite his strength the chains could not be broken. Then the succubus was about to receive her reward and taste the guy's body, having prepared herself according to her old customs. Well, something happened. Things did not go according to plan. This was not an easy guy after all. He grew another pair of arms. He is very mighty. He started to transform. His muscles got bigger, and his strength grew. His eyes glowed with a red color. His horns began to grow larger, and he himself began to grow in size. The succubus didn't understand how this was possible. The ceremony could not be interrupted. Finally the chains started to break. Unable to withstand the guy's power, he looked like a real demon. She wanted to absorb his power along with his blood, and the guy started to give her what she wanted. He began to radiate power, which the succubus began to actively absorb, and he screamed at her to take it all. There was too much power on this one, and she couldn't absorb that much of it. After a few seconds the power started to overload and she couldn't contain it in herself anymore. But the guy was so powerful that he could easily give out that power, and it didn't do him any harm. At one point the succubus couldn't take it anymore. She was just torn apart. She didn't expect this. He was amused by the situation. The succubi wanted to absorb his power but couldn't take even a small part of it. That woman just exploded. How weak she is. But I feel great. He still tried to break the chains but they still wouldn't budge. There was a magical seal on them. This body can't even handle a seal of this level. Something is wrong here. He shouted to the red demon that the next time they let him out it wouldn't end so easily, and then the guy slowly started to turn back into his original body. He calmed down, and just decided to rest, the red acrid smoke affecting him. Meanwhile, the father was searching for his son, crushing everyone he saw in his path. He felt like he was playing legend, knocking down all the succubi. Lee was screaming for them to get out of the way, and he was here to actually save them. The succubi did as they were used to doing. They just wanted to protect the red demon cave and kill the invader. They didn't realize yet that they couldn't handle this man's power. He just crushed them with a burst of speed and they scattered in different directions. Stop asking for trouble. I'm really here to save you. While rescuing these succubi, He had to punch them and knock them down. Even so, they still tried to attack him using their power. Guys, stop attacking me. Where are you coming from? I'm tired of playing with you. As he took a dozen succubi to the ground on the floor, he stopped and thought about how much he was getting tired of dealing with women. Did you see my child who was possessed by a group of women from your sect? Yes, I saw him. Our mistress took him to the deepest altar in the cave. At least one has told at last. Well, live for now. Thank you very much for your reply. Master of this place, don't be afraid. I'm here to save you. I won't let it go. Lu rushed deep into the cave, smashing every stone wall in his way. Finally he broke through the last one. He found his son who was attached to me, and he immediately asked if he killed the owner of the cave, to which the boy replied that his father didn't need to worry about him so much. The father of the demonic guy got 2 knives from nowhere and cut the chains with them. Then I asked the son if he had seen the owner of the cave, to which the son asked, isn't he supposed to take care of him? The father replied that that was right. Then he asked how the cave master had treated him, but the son replied that he did not know. He was still asleep. Then the boy remembered that he had overslept, and it was time to open the shop. The boy ran forward and pulled his father behind him, punching through all the walls of the cave. The succubi who were standing there were shocked at what was happening. The red demon sat on top of the cave and watched it all from above. And the absurdity of the whole situation, he just ignited and exploded. Somehow it was all very strange. While father and son were away, some people came to the village. They were saying something about someone here actually landing in this ruined village. According to our Lord's instructions, he landed here. We need to look around. I didn't expect the hope of my Manhwa clan to be in such a remote village. It was the deities. They were exploring the village, pretending to be fireballs and looking around. The children were already busily at work. You family diner. It's beautiful. There are shooting stars here during the day. I've never seen anything like this before. I hope Daddy can get lots of money to buy me lots of sweet potatoes. Those deities landed right in front of the girl. They didn't hide their magical abilities. The cute girl just greeted them like normal shoppers. One of them tried to scare her, made a strange face, and raised a fire above him. Then they just walked in, ignoring the girl's words about queuing. And then she ran out in front of them and said her daddy said they had to queue if they wanted their food. The girl said that if they behaved well and took their turn, she would give them their food. You choose to give us this food? You choose to insult all my people, the Manhwa clan? Little girl, get out of my big brother's way. Bad temper. Just stay out of our way. One of the people who passed knocked the girl's food out of her hands, and it upset her. She cried and said it was the best food she could give them. The little girl was hurt and cried, and the tall guys just went on without paying attention to her. All the people who saw what had happened accompanied the strangers with displeased looks. A young red-haired guy came up to them and told them to stop. They weren't going to talk to him for long and immediately asked where the tavern manager was. The guy said that they should apologize to his sister Xiaoyi. They started to discuss the guy. It's bad that they pushed that girl. It's against their master's instruction. But one of them said that there was no need to worry about it. They saw that this guy had very pure blood in him, but they didn't want to humiliate themselves in front of the guy and ask his sister for forgiveness. Why should I ask for forgiveness? Well, the guy had fire power too, and he said that if they didn't apologize, it would be worse for them. That surprised these beings with powerful powers. Looks like this guy has the eternal fire. The hope of my Manhwa clan should be this kid. Kid, here's your talent. Now use the magic of eternal fire. So the kid insisted his abusers apologize to his sister. I'll apologize, but you're coming with me. I'm so happy I found you. I apologize. If these 3 start a mayhem in the tavern, it's bound to alarm the others, the elders and the villagers. Although their flames are not as good as the eternal flame, but its natural power is completely uncontrollable. If all of them attack me, I won't be able to withstand it. Not only that, the scorching flames in the neighborhood will affect the safety of the tavern. It must be my father's painstaking work. You can't attack back. Even if you want to attack, it should be a quiet place. Then the sensible guy thought about the situation and said he'd go with them. But apologizing won't bring back the little girl's sweet potato. The lad took off his work apron, and with humility decided to volunteer to go with those deities. Here they had already gone far away from the village. The child was walking behind. Some couples did not say that this child looked gloomy. Can't he attack us from behind? But the main one replied that it's just a kid, and there are 3 of them. They have nothing to fear. The boy stopped, and those in front noticed it. They stopped too. Boy, let's go. Why are you stopping? We have to go on. The journey is not over yet. The weather was getting worse, the sky was covered with thick clouds. It looked like it was going to rain. A strong wind came down. The boy said they never apologized to his sister, and his patience was running out. What's your patience? You're just a kid. How can you have any patience at all? The guy used his fire magic, slamming his hand on the ground to create a strong impulse. The Manhwa clan originally practiced fire, and is not afraid of high temperatures. But no one expected his eternal flame to be so powerful. The fire deity with the strange hairstyle said that his bloodline was a treasure, and it was a pity to have to kill him. He threw a fireball at the guy. He thought he would kill him in one hit. The guy nonchalantly and very easily dodged the fireball. It made no impression on him. We need to move on. Let's you come with us without any tricks. Stop throwing it behind our patience. Finally the guy's patience finally ran out. He used the eternal flame. The eternal flame is too close. It can't be. What's he doing? The guy said one last time to apologize to his sister. Manhwa clan people are born with the fire attribute. Naturally they are not afraid of high temperatures. It is very difficult to achieve the high temperatures of the flame itself. But if it is achieved, no matter how tough your skin is, you will have to endure the incredible heat of the flames. Xiao Lu's fire attribute is willful and oppressive. The eternal flame has an extremely high temperature. Eternal flame once lit no longer extinguishes. If used carelessly it could lead to death. So what if you didn't apologize to my sister Xiaoyi? This frightened those deities. They didn't understand how to deal with this situation. He is insane. If you do this now, your foundation will be destroyed. So guys, stun him. Our time is running out. We have to leave. From start to finish, Ho Yun did not allow Ho Feng and Ho Lei to act. Only when making a couple of moves to stop Lu Qing. They are also members of the Manhwa clan. They are strong and high-ranking individuals. But now there was a matter of losing face. Now the most important thing is to stop Cheng as soon as possible. If Cheng's foundation is damaged, their efforts over the years will be wasted. They immediately pounced on him to stun the guy, and the guy didn't expend his energy. The guy got flamed and said they never apologized to his sister. Are you angry because of this sweet potato your sister offered us? Is that why you're so desperate? And the deity with a side of hair that looked like some kind of flower made a powerful fire grenade attack. The fire grenade has too strong a speed, but the guy didn't stop. He was just going to dodge. He was attacked from the left, right, and air, but he knew what made it all come together, and then jumped high up, and those two deities did the damage themselves. One fire grenade flew in his direction, but he deftly deflected its attack. He actually used his body against my fire magic. But how is that possible? Doesn't it harm his bloodline base? A huge wall of fire erupted in front of the red-haired deity, which I simply stunned him. That's not good. He shouted to his aides to quickly leave. If it made such an impression on their big brother, then they are all the more willing to flee. They asked him what was going on here, and he said it was bad, and this guy, he broke through. Now you don't need to apologize. You don't deserve Xiao Yi's fried sweet potatoes. You're not worthy of it, just like you're not worthy to live in this world. Son, listen to me. Xiao Xing, please slow down a bit. Stop. Dad, we don't have much time. We have to hurry. Something might have happened to my siblings, or the customers might be waiting. Don't worry. Nothing will happen to the others at home. Xiao Xing is with them. Dad, he's probably not at home. I have a feeling something's happened to him. The father asked him if he really felt that his brother was in danger, to which the son replied that yes, he felt that his brother had encountered something, so they should return as soon as possible. When the father took the initiative and ran even faster than his son had run before, then his son realized that when they were competing with his dad, he was giving in to everything. Lu stopped. He felt something wrong. Something was happening to his body. His hand was on fire, but he wasn't summoning that magic. Something was wrong. Dad, why are you emitting second brother's fiery aura? What's going on? Xiao Qing's bloodline has supernatural immortal flame abilities. It seems that he has broken through the shackles of the blood lineage. I, who am related to him by blood, have also obtained an unquenchable immortal flame. After all, this is not the first time I have encountered a situation where my child suddenly has magical powers. The son asked his father what's going on with him. Is everything all right? His father replied that he was fine. Lu then rushed towards his second son, who was now in danger, and the son who was standing next to him just couldn't keep up with him, asking him to wait for him. Meanwhile, the second son was about to destroy the deities. The ground beneath his feet was breaking. He had a new strength that he had never had before. His muscles were even bigger, and he looked even more imposing. If I don't bring you back to your senses, you will never know the merits as well as the inferiority of this world. He once again used fire bombs to stun the powerful guy. This time, there were too many bombs, and they were all aimed at the same point. This time, he wouldn't be able to dodge. Impossible for you to dodge all of them. But the guy didn't even dodge. His magic worked so all the bombs flew past him. How is that possible? He didn't even dodge, but he doesn't even have a scratch on him. The guy lit up with bright flames, grew in size, and seemed to be getting ready for something. He screamed, and from that scream, a phoenix, a huge firebird, was reborn. This bird further terrified anyone who tried to stun the guy. He can summon a golden raven, that's impossible. Who taught him such power? Brother, we can't just defeat him now. We've been looking for him, but now he's going to hunt us down. We just can't get away with it. In 1,000 years of existence, the Wuhong tribe has never seen such an amazing talent. This is the fire of the golden raven. How can we resist now? This guy's might terrified everyone. These creatures have never seen such power. These birds of fire were lifting the bloke above the ground, and he was controlling them. What terrifying power! What do we do now? We can't defeat him with such power. Obviously we can't handle him. I suggest we run far away. That would be the best plan. The fire raven swooped down on them with a terrible scream, terrifying even the most powerful creatures. Now they wanted all three of them to apologize to the guy's sister, but for a moment everything subsided. They thought they were already dead. This powerful guy's father stood in front of him, and he asked them who they were and how dare they bully his son. They immediately knelt before him and begged the Lord to temper his anger. They could not clearly answer why they had come here. They replied that they were not bullying him. The red-haired deity tried to be calm and not show his fear. Judging by his fiery aura, if we really fight him, we'll be burned to ashes. He didn't know what to say and tried to think of an excuse to not look so stupid. Then the chief of the deities said that they were just being trained, and his tribesmen had never seen their boss who was not afraid of heaven and earth in such a state that he couldn't even speak clearly. And you really expect me to believe that? It's like a pathetic lie. Look at him. He learned the secret technique of the ancestors of the witch clan. We learn it together with him. The difficulty of this technique is very high, and it takes a long time to practice on your own. This kid is not only talented and intelligent but also amazing. He has only trained in this technique once but has already mastered it successfully. I really admire him. The boss is trying his best to find a way for us to survive. Even I believe he can do it. In that case it's not bad. Don't you guys think we should maintain karma? Learn from my son. She didn't even want to thank him. I think he deserves a thank you. The frightened deities gave away all the money they had. They had to do it because money is not as important as their lives. Here's a little bit of our sincere gratitude, from the bottom of our hearts. Well then, it's no big deal. And only Lu wanted to ask them to leave. But the fire son still wasn't finished with them. He stopped them and told them to apologize to his sister Xiaoyi. They could not get away with the money so easily. And they stopped and realized that something very bad was about to happen. The father asked his son what happened, and he said they stepped on the sweet potatoes Xiao had shared with them. Now they must apologize to Xiaoyi. There's no other way. Let your father settle this matter. Xiaoqing, go meet your brother Xiaoxing who is on his way here, and then together go home and comfort Xiaoyi. Dad also asks you to buy a few baskets of sweet potatoes, and give them to Xiaoyi. The boy smelled something wrong. His father is holding back his anger. He could feel this energy. It's that Dad's anger is about to break out. How dare you bully my child, my little daughter Xiaoyi? The culprit of this replied that he did it, and no sooner had he turned around than he was immediately punished. A huge fire fist, larger than the red-haired deity's head and his hair, flew into his face. It was a terrible crushing blow that caused the poor man terrible injuries. He began to cough up blood from such a blow, and his vision was blurred. He could see worse. He tried to turn round and get to his feet, but that would certainly not have saved him. Li gave him a powerful blow to his chest, shattering all his ribs and other bones. He just crushed him like a lowly bug. The golden raven fire behind him is a level higher than this kid. I can't even resist the blazing heat from it. Since it was a deity, it couldn't be killed so easily, but it felt the pain very well. The red-haired deity tried to apologize, but Lu was unstoppable. and the enraged father kicked his daughter's abuser in the head. How dare you threaten our elder brother? We will fight you. But that was their biggest mistake. They'd better get out of here. Lu used his power. That fire burned them so badly they couldn't keep it out of the flames. We were wrong. You don't have to burn us. We don't want to die, please. No, stay away. Can't we escape death today? Hopefully it won't be too agonizing. Now is the time to apologize to my daughter. Okay, we'll do anything. Just please don't kill us. The brothers helped their older brother up and he was bleeding, with many broken bones. Lu told them to follow him and not even think about doing any tricks. The guys bought potatoes for Xiaoyi. The people who knew the whole situation said that she would be really happy. The guys said that yes, Xiaoyi really likes sweet potatoes. Brother, we should hurry up and help the others. Where did Xiaoyi go? Meanwhile the girl sat crying, wondering why they didn't like her sweet potatoes. Finally the brothers found their sister. I didn't want to cheer her up as soon as possible. Second brother and sixth brother, you're back. It's good to be home. The brother stroked his sister's head and asked her why she was sitting here alone. Xiaoyi, don't be upset. Second brother has already taught them a lesson. They will never hurt you again. Don't cry, Xiaoyi. Look, we bought lots of sweet potatoes for you. The girl stopped crying. Sweet potatoes. Did you buy these all for me? Finally the girl was satisfied. She took one sweet potato and started eating it with a satisfied face, and thanked her big brothers. From the queue could be heard disgruntled exclamations. I've been waiting at the door for half an hour for the queue hasn't even moved. Why is the service so slow today? I am very hungry. Too slow today. Hurry up, some of us have to go to work. We bring you all our changes. The restaurant is understaffed today. Uncles and aunts, don't be angry. Sweet potatoes will make you feel better. And the girl started sharing her sweet potatoes. I want to give you all a sweet potato today. Don't worry, there's enough for everyone. Xiaoyi is really a very kind child. So small but she has such a good heart. So delicious. Thank you uncles and aunts for coming to visit us today. We always appreciate our visitors. Someone shouted what a wonderful feeling, and all the people turned their attention to the person who said it. Behind them stood an old man. He threw away his cane that helped him walk. After I ate those potatoes I felt like I was back to my youth. Indeed, my back no longer hurts and my headache is gone. What he said is true. I feel it too. It's amazing. Can I have some more? And when all those deities came back to the village, they saw the power that this girl radiates. It's the power of the shaman's blessing. The shaman's blessing can not only improve the physique, but it can also improve people's moods. It's just unbelievable. This girl quietly blessed the entire village. Such a kind-hearted girl, and we treated her so badly today. The three abusers walked up to the little girl and stopped in front of her. Little sister, we were wrong and sincerely we offer our changes for our cruel behavior. Please forgive us. If you forgive us, can you treat us to a sweet potato? The girl looked into the basket where the sweet potatoes were, and tried to get something out of it. But it was completely empty. There didn't seem to be any potatoes left. If they wait long enough, I'll probably get angry again. Maybe I should give them the potatoes I have in my hand. But Chang and Shen wanted to treat me. What should I do? There's only one last piece of potato left. Here you go. If it's the last piece of potato, you'd better keep it. I've already eaten. All right. And sweet potato, you in bed now, queue up and don't swear. The red-haired deity tasted this potato with some effort because he didn't have all his teeth. As I took a bite of the hot sweet potato, my broken arm infused and now there is no more pain in my arm and now I can feel the mild aroma and flavor flowing right into my soul. Then the older brother broke the potato into several pieces to share with his brothers, and then those pieces of sweet, warm potatoes so that they too could feel what he felt. My clan of fire sorcerers have lived in the blazing demon realm 1000 for generations, but our hearts have never been evil. I'm sorry, little sister, it was our fault, and we shouldn't have stepped on your sweet potatoes back then. Forgive us, we're sorry. The other people just stood there and watched. They didn't understand who it was, and why are these people so polite to Xiaoyi. In fact, the girl didn't immediately realize who was standing in front of her, and she finally remembered who they were. I remembered you. You are the bad guy who stomped on my sweet potatoes. I should forget about it already. After all, second brother helped me teach them a lesson. Little sister, this is for you. We hope you can forgive us. He offered the girl a small object. It looked like a ring, but the girl said she didn't need it. But despite her words, he just put his ring next to the girl. And then they all bowed their heads together and lowered their eyes down. All the while, The girl's father stood beside them and watched what was going on. The performance was pretty good. I originally thought they would need to be taught a special lesson before they started to change seriously, but I didn't expect them to take the initiative. Thank you for the praise. You'll let us go now. They're waiting for us. Wait, I'll let you go so as not to cause trouble in the village. I'll ask my son Xiaochen to escort you. What's he up to, bro? Who's Xiaochen? Cut the crap, guys. How do I know who he is? Finally they saw the one who was supposed to escort them, but the guy scared them with his looks. So it's Xiaochen. How can it be this guy's kid? The guy said that his father asked him to escort them out of that village, but those guys thought about who in the world would believe it was a child. After a while they stopped, and the big guy said that he would say goodbye to them here, and they could walk the rest of the way by themselves. They thanked him by saying thank you. I'll see you again sometime, big brother. To the lad replied that he was only 7 years old. It was the deities who fell head over heels when they learnt that he was only 7 years old. And then they ran away and said they would never come back to this village again, running so fast that they were only dust. And the big lad was glad that he had done well enough and now he could go home and have a nice meal. Master said we'd find him here, but we still haven't found him. Is it so hard to find the right person in some small village? What happened? What are you looking at? There's a big tall guy walking past us right now who looks like a cultivator. Could it be him? Quickly follow him. We need to see if it's him. The Lord said we should catch the kid, right? Then let's go and ask him. Your Excellency, we finally found you. Found me. Do we know each other? I'm sorry, but I don't remember you. Is it really a child? Excuse me, Your Excellency. How old are you this year? This guy smiled and said he'll be 8 years old this year. That's him. We found him. Come with us, lad. We need to get out of here. Well, the guy just threw the man who was trying to take him somewhere and asked who they were and why he had to go with them. All right, you don't have to come with us, but we got good food. Delicious food, say. That's good. And how much do you have? I've got quite an appetite. We've got as much food as you like. And then the bloke agreed to go with them. Those people were glad that he went with them voluntarily. The task set by the patriarch was finally accomplished. They walked for a very long time, and finally night came. They entered some cave. Until it's time for the sacrifice. You must stay here. Near the village you promised to give me a delicious meal. I must eat. I'm very hungry. Where's my food? Actually, I lied to you. You really believed it, silly boy. You lied to me. You probably want to get beaten up. I can arrange that. People quickly started to run away from the cave. The woman told him not to forget what the patriarch said. The boy sat and waited, still hoping for food to be brought to him. Why did they take so long? He was getting very hungry and was beginning to regret going with these people. After a while he noticed that there was a lot of tasty food near him, and he was attracted by the smell. A lot of food indeed. It seems they didn't lie to me after all. Just in time. The guy started eating the food very fast. It seemed like he wasn't even chewing it. Just then the man who brought him here came in. He brought him some food. But he didn't notice the banana peel under his feet. He stepped on it and slipped. How dare you eat sacrificial food? It's not for you. Stop. Men with spears ran into the cave, and with a terrible shout they attacked the guy. Well, the guy made a slight movement of his hand and they flew apart. You can stop me from eating. My dad said it's bad for my digestion. Such a powerful force scared people. Even spears don't work against this guy. He just kept eating the food that was meant for sacrifice. People stood there not knowing what to do. In the meantime, my father came back after a hard day and was anxious to prepare as much food as possible because the customers had already waited too long. The night came. It was very late, and everyone was tired after such a crazy day. My new invented cooking method is really handy. I'll have to teach the kids next time. By the way, it seems like it's been a long time since I've seen my son Xiaochen all day. Lu sat down on the sofa to rest for a while. He didn't have the energy to get up, so he just called his son by name. He asked the other kids where Xiaochen was. The red-haired boy said he left and never came back, and the girl said she hadn't seen him either. That's not good. It looks like he left the village. Maybe someone knows he's in the village? The elf girl replied to her father that she couldn't feel his aura in the village, and father told her to check for other strange auras near the village. The elfess then concentrated and started scanning the aura of all the living beings nearby. Besides Xiaochen, I can also sense the aura of 2 shamans. Xiaochen must have left with them. Strange things have been happening lately. First Xiaochen was kidnapped, then Xiaoqing was attacked, and as soon as everything was resolved, Xiaoqing disappeared next. Why should I go to all this trouble? Okay, I think it's best to calm down. What's meant to be will come true. The white-haired son asked his father if they could go and look for his brother on the outskirts of the village. But his father said that there was no need. With Xiao Chen's physique, they shouldn't bother him too much. Moreover, there is actually no great danger of following the shamans. What Dad said makes sense. Just like our sister Xiaoyi, the shamans have a weak attack. Hopefully this kind of thing won't happen all the time. Debeo time to close the restaurant. Just as Debeo was about to close the restaurants, he saw the village chief leaving. Village chief, it's so late you came to have lunch with us? Follow me to the temple of the earth behind the village. The protector of the human race is looking for you. The protector of the human race. Why is he looking for me? What happened already? Debeo, lock the door behind me. Then you can rest. If someone knocks, don't open the door. Dad will be back soon. Hey, I didn't even finish the sentence. How can you close the restaurants right in front of me? Yes, to his son Lu ran after the headman who had already gone to the appointed place. The headman, why is he looking for me? What does he want? It's so late. Everyone's going to bed. The village headman is similarly familiar with this place. But the village is not that far away from this temple. Now they were still walking, and the village headman was still walking at top speed. The village headman, do we need to hurry so much? Luckily for a tired Lu, they arrived at their destination. But the place seems deserted, and there's a very gloomy house that hasn't been looked after for a long time. Headman, is this the right place for us to go? He knocked on the door not with his hands but with a wooden stick. Perhaps old age has rheumatism and joint pains in his hands because he's so old. Don't think I've grown old. That's what I had to do, or the protector of our race wouldn't come out to us. This stick is quite big, but I'm not surprised that a village headman can carry such a heavy cane. Fire erupted in front of them, and then smoke rose into the air. An old, bald man with a big belly appeared in front of them. The protector of the human race is a middle-aged fat man. Is he serious? Why don't you rush to bow when the guardian of the human race stands before you? Old man, you must be old and blind. How can he be the protector of mankind? Are you kidding? Shouldn't he be as majestically handsome as me and have a heroic aura surrounding him? Xiao Lu, he's really protecting humanity. Well, look at his appearance. If he's protecting humanity, isn't he too distracted? Child, I want to discuss something with you. But why are you being so rude? According to you, I can't talk like this. I look at you and I don't see before me a highly moral person with awesome power. Such words made the protector angry. He told him to calm down. But Lu continued to ask why did he get so angry. He didn't say anything like that. Mr. Defender of Humanity, let's talk about the case. Why did you call Xiao Lu here? The defender replied that he called him to discuss the situation with the lighthouse. But Lu asked what business did the lighthouse have with him. The defender asked if he wanted to hear what happened at the lighthouse. Lu decided to wait a while and not answer, to which the defender said time's up, and Lu replied that if he wasn't going to say anything then he was leaving. Wait a minute, let me tell you something. Still, he had to give up first. Each race has its own territory and each race is restricted, so other races can't travel safely through the territory of other races. But after the lighthouse is built, she will be able to enter a given point at will every time, and her own power will not be weakened. So that lighthouse set up by the ancestors of your village will become a public point through which anyone can enter our world. So that's what it is. Now I understand why there's been so much trouble lately. It turns out to be the lighthouse located here. The defender replied that he was looking for Lu to solve the problem, and Lu asked him if he knew who put mine in this place and why. The man with the orange dot on his forehead said it was hard for him to answer that. But Lu was willing to bet that Fatty knew about it from the beginning. If you don't get rid of him, there won't be a day of peace in the village. How can you find the lighthouse and destroy it? The lighthouse is embodied in the form of some object, so it's not easy to find and destroy it. If you beg me, I'll tell you. A few beats later, the fat man begged Lu to stop and said he would tell you everything. I think your daughter will help you find the lighthouse, and this artifact will help you destroy it. It looks like a frying pan. What am I supposed to do with it? How am I supposed to use it? It's my wife's frying pan. Using it to destroy the beacon. Lu asked if he was sure it would work, to which he was told yes. This kid and his power is terrifying. My supernatural strength is nothing compared to him. I was so overwhelmed by him I didn't even have a chance to fight back. Maybe I shouldn't have given him my wife's frying pan for nothing, and he really can save this land. Then the old man disappeared, dissipated into thin air as suddenly as he had appeared. The old man turned to Xiao Lu and said that he had something else to do, so they should say goodbye here. After saying goodbye to the old man, Xiao Lu wondered if that fat man's wife's frying pan could destroy the otherworldly lighthouse, or had the human race's protector tricked him. It is indeed an artifact. Now that he has found the solution to the lighthouse problem, we need to destroy it today as well. His elven daughter sensed her father. She realized he had returned. He told his daughter to come with him because he needed her help. But the daughter noticed that it was getting very late, and did they have to go out so late? But Daddy needs help, he needs to find someone, so he's not going. His daughter asked if it's not a frying pan, why does her father carry a frying pan with him? Xiao Lu replied that it's not just a frying pan. It's a real artifact. Xiao Lan needed to help him check if there were any strange auras nearby. His powerful daughter started scanning around looking for anything strange. Now they both felt that someone was following them. It was like some kind of garden scarecrow. It didn't seem to be moving. Finally he saw the root of all the trouble that had been going on lately. It was all the fault of that stupid scarecrow. He would never forgive that scarecrow for everything that had happened here. His knight didn't understand what had done to his dad and why was he so angry with him. He was going to make a broom out of this scarecrow and use it to clean up the dirtiest places in the village. The scarecrow immediately attacked Xiao Lu. How could an ordinary scarecrow attack a human? But suddenly, the scarecrow felt threatened and decided to run away as his life was important. At this moment, the scarecrow started to run away, and the daughter was surprised by this turn of events. Of course it could not run away from such a powerful man. He just threw a frying pan at its head and hit it. At the impact, the frying pan burst into bright flames. Then the frying pan fell to the ground as if it was some kind of sword. It stuck into the ground and was burning. The daughter asked if the scarecrow could hit a man, but the father said it was a beacon. This thing was the reason why they had so many problems lately. Xiao Lan was very happy that her father had found a solution to this problem. She said that her dad had done a very good job. Unexpectedly, the human race protector's wife's frying pan was so powerful that the lighthouse was immediately destroyed by touching it. Now that the beacon was destroyed, it would be very difficult for the other times to get here, and even if they came again they wouldn't have enough power. But something unusual was happening. The fire was burning just in the air. What is it? Xiao Lu asked his daughter what she felt. She immediately started searching. After a few seconds, one replied that she felt an ordinary aura. But what is the task ordinary? This place where this thing appeared is obviously the place where the scarecrow disappeared. How can this be something normal? Xiao Lu moved his hand closer to that flame and began to absorb it. It was a great surprise to him that he had absorbed that flame. What was going on? That inexplicable flame started to penetrate his body. What is this? This shouldn't be happening. He felt an incomprehensible pain. He felt like he was dying. But he can't die here, especially not in front of his daughter. His face was transformed. A smile and tears, loud laughter. An explosion formed near him. His daughter was frightened by this unexpected behavior. He began to emit strong magic. The daughter was scared and cried, "What's wrong with her daddy? It seems her dad broke." But how impressive is this power? Will her dad's body be able to withstand it? Such a big noise is bound to alarm the people of the surrounding villages. It ended as suddenly as it started. Her father seemed to have calmed down and looked at his daughter. Xiao Lan asked if her father was all right. What had just happened? It seems he is not only fine, but he has become much stronger. His daughter told him to look around. It was all his doing. Many people from neighboring villages came to see what had happened. Father and daughter quickly escaped. Finally it was morning. All night she couldn't sleep because of what happened to Daddy last night. Finally when she fell asleep the sky was bright, and she had to get up. Of course the young elven girl was very sleep-deprived and still wanted to sleep. And why were there so many people at the door? They said that the rice in the eastern part of the village had been destroyed by someone, and that an adult and a child were involved. They ran away very quickly, leaving no trace behind them. And another man said that he had heard that there had been a great battle that had been organized by the immortals. It was good that it had not affected the village, and if such a powerful force had manifested itself here it would have been a disaster. The girl was very embarrassed now, so she decided to ask her big brother to serve them. But the customers asked Xiao Lan to bring them 5 fried dough sticks, and she replied that she would. For some reason, one of the people thought for a moment that Xiao Lan looked like a short man who had gone through the night and destroyed a rice field. The person next to her said that it was impossible. This person's strength is very intimidating. The person without outer clothing said that it made sense. Of course it wasn't her, but it was her father. She couldn't tell that. At the same time, a loud scream and rumbling sounded in the cave. It was the big guy eating the ritual food for the ancestors. People were begging him not to eat it. But that didn't stop the big bloke. He just said it was a good dinner. Now they realize it was easy to invite him in, but impossible to kick him out. Since he came, he's eaten more than half the stock. What's even more annoying is that he eats all the good stuff and throws away all the bad stuff. And the shamans have worked so hard to gather all this food. It was originally prepared as a sacrifice for the shaman tribe, so that the shamans could break the curse of the body and no longer have to wander the world with their fragile bodies. But it hasn't even started yet, and all the food needed for it has been lost. No matter what, the little fat man wanted to fight him. The woman dissuaded him, and they better think about what to do about the ritual. There is no more food for the sacrifice, and the remaining half must not be harmed by this guy. They have to do something. If he stays even one more day, they will have nothing to eat. They tried with all their might to kick him out, telling him to get out quickly and that they were not happy to see him here anymore. But to all this the boy only replied that he was not full, and continued to eat his food. How he regretted bringing that glutton here. He shouldn't have done that to them. They'd soon have nothing to eat since he'd eaten almost all their food. When he had finished his meal, he sat down on a rock and said that near the village they had promised him that as long as he didn't piss he could eat whatever he wanted. And he wasn't full yet, so he wouldn't leave. They begged him to tell them what they had to do to make him go away. The guy thought about it, and said that what he wanted was impossible. But the people were willing to do anything to get him out of here and asked what it was. They were ready to listen to him carefully, especially while he was talking. He wasn't eating. The big guy told them to give him a monthly meal ticket. The restaurant was bustling with activity. Everyone was working as usual. But something was missing. Xiao Lu was cleaning the restaurant to keep it clean and tidy. In the middle of his work, Xiao Lu was called by a man and asked where he was. It was some big fat man. He said he had business with Xiao Lu. The restaurant owner greeted the guest and asked what he wanted. The restaurant was very busy right now. He didn't have time to help him. But the fat man said that he came to ask him to continue. Xiao Lu laughed, saying he was joking. If he needed help, just tell him, and he would help. The man said he had to go away for a long time, so he wanted to ask for one of his children to keep his mum company for that time. He said that his mum was very kind and wouldn't be much trouble. Xiao Lu replied that he thought it wouldn't be a problem and he would go and talk to the kids about it now. The green-clothed man thanked Brother Lu, and in the future he will be able to buy vegetables from them at half price. Xiao Lu replied that it was a small thing, and wished him a safe journey. Brother Chin is a good person, and his mum often came to our restaurant and took care of the children. Which of the children should he ask to take care of the old lady? Since it's a favor, he should definitely help. But who should he choose? But the children were nowhere to be seen. They must all be busy in the kitchen. He went to his son Dabo and asked where his sister Xiaoyi was. The boy was busy working and he said he didn't know where she was, but he guessed that she must be eating sweet potatoes again. Because of Xiaoyi, the restaurant was almost out of sweet potatoes. How he wished someone could teach him how to create endless sweet potatoes. A few days ago, their regular customer came to eat candied sweet potatoes. But he searched the entire restaurant and only found one piece of potato. This piece was then in Xiaoyi's hands, since everyone is busy working in the restaurant, and only Xiaoyi is free. The father ordered his white-haired son to quickly find his sister engulfed by the evil spirit of the sweet potato. The boy ran away very quickly at the same moment, and returned with his sister in his arms. It was really lightning fast. The girl didn't even realize what had happened. He asked about his daughter, why she eats so many sweet potatoes. The girl answered that she could eat less. The main thing was that her father was not angry. She gave him her sweet potatoes and said she wouldn't eat them anymore. Her dad sighed and said it was okay and she could keep eating. The old lady of the Chen family in the east of the village has a lot of sweet potatoes. Maybe she wants to go to her? The girl said she had declassified her father's plan. She would enter the old lady's trust, and he would steal all the sweet potatoes at night. They then agreed on pinky fingers. Such an agreement lasts for over 100 years, and the one who broke the agreement will never be able to eat potatoes for a lifetime. Father told her to go to the old lady's house for 7 days to find out where the Tibetan sweet potatoes are, and when she finds out, then she will tell Dad. Xiaoyi very quickly ran towards where the old lady lived, The white-haired guy said that as far as he could remember, the old lady of the Chin family grows scarecrows and not sweet potatoes. Father replied that he had to find an excuse for Xiaoyi to go, or else the potato supply would really disappear. The white-haired brother really felt sorry for his sister Xiaoyi. The girl arrived at her destination very quickly and was already standing at the door of the old lady's house. Then she started knocking on the door to open it, but no one opened it for a long time. The girl thought that probably the old lady is not at home, otherwise she would have opened the door. If she is not home, then the girl's better go home, but she must have a lot of sweet potatoes in the house, which she has never tasted. The girl slowly walked to the door and tried to open it. It turned out the door was unlocked and she could freely go inside. Well, need to find the place where the Tibetan potatoes are stored is the main goal. The girl quietly tried to walk towards the kitchen, but it seemed she was spotted. Someone asked her why she came here. There's no escape, so she's caught, so she's got to think of something fast. Turns out Granny was home, she just didn't hear or took too long to get to the door. Looks like there's no way to find out where the potatoes are now. The girl ran up to her grandmother and said she was here to take care of her. She followed her grandmother and tried to help her all the time. The grandmother replied that Xiaoyi is a very good girl. This unusual girl very quickly began to search all around looking for sweet potatoes. But why couldn't she find a sweet potato, not even a bite? And she remembered her father saying that there were many sweet potatoes hidden in the old lady's house. Could it be that the old lady had hidden the potatoes in another place? She thought that she should wait and stealthily search until she paid attention to her. Xiaoyi looked after the old lady and said that it wasn't a hassle at all for her to help her. She said that she would go get her some water and thought that her plan to enter the old woman's trust had succeeded. Then she saw some sort of small altar that was dedicated to a demon. It looked pretty creepy and the girl was scared to be in that place. But she shouldn't be afraid of anything, and then she would get a mountain of sweet potatoes. Xiaoyi thought about the old woman and eyes hidden sweet potato and was very happy. It seemed that this was not just an altar but a real demon that could possess people. Very quickly it flew up to the old woman before she suspected anything. This demon had possessed her, and now the old woman was very dangerous. At the same time the girl brought water to the old woman, but now everything was different. The sweet girl did not suspect anything, she just brought her water. But the granny's face was somehow very evil, it gave off an unpleasant aura. The grandmother asked Xiaoyi to come closer because she was very thirsty. When the girl approached her grandmother, someone stretched out its scary clawed paw. Xiaoyi thought that this old woman had the most horrible nails. Finally the girl started to guess that there was something wrong here. This chip had terrible teeth. Out of fright the girl threw the tray with the teapot and cups on the floor, and it shattered. She fell to the floor and asked her grandmother what happened to her. Grandma demon-possessed slowly got up from her chair. Red smoke erupted around this old lady. Why did such a kind and sweet old lady suddenly become a horrible monster? What does she want to do? Does it look like she's going to kill her? The girl looked around to see if she could get away. The demon was getting closer and closer. She should try to get away from it. But first, the girl just tried to explain to her grandmother that it was Xiaoyi and she needed to recover. But the demon started to attack. The girl was fast, and she managed to dodge. She still didn't understand how this old lady be so fast? She fell on the floor and started calling for her daddy. She was very scared. She was just a little girl. Some kind of creature started to come out of the granny's mouth. It seemed like a demon started to leave the granny's body. Then a red lightning bolt started flying straight at the girl. Maybe the demon wanted to possess her. But from fear, the girl had superpowers. After all, Xiao Lu's children could always take care of themselves. She glowed with a bright light and shouted for the demon to kneel down in front of the true spirit. The light from this girl frightened the demon, and it retreated back a few meters. The powerful child had used her power. Now it was time for the demon to be afraid. Transformed into a huge angel with mighty power. Now this deity began to attack the demon with its mighty power. Xiaoyi grabbed the demon by the neck and threw it into the wall with such force that rocks started to fall. From such a blow, the demon was frightened by such power and left the woman's body. The grandmother simply lost consciousness and the girl lay on the floor and watched what was happening. After a while she fainted because she had used her power. Now after such a contraction the old girl lay unconscious on the floor. After a while the girl started to wake up. She opened her big beautiful eyes. When she came to she realized that she had been lying like that for a long time. What had happened? She didn't understand what had just happened, She didn't understand why she was lying on earth. The only thing she remembered was that Daddy had asked her to go to the old lady's house to find out about a new variety of potatoes. She realized she'd broken through, which meant she had an even more powerful force. She couldn't remember anything that had happened, so she thought she had broken through in her sleep. It wasn't too easy, was it? With her new power it would be easier to find the sweet potatoes. But suddenly she saw an old woman lying on the floor. It scared her. Looks like the old lady fainted too. Well, what is the reason for this? Xiaoyi started to wake up, the grandmother repeating to wake her up and come to her senses. Finally the old lady started to wake up. Thank God she was alive. The girl helped her grandmother up, but the old lady couldn't understand why she had a pain in her neck as if she was being strangled. Xiaoyi asked her grandmother somehow ended up on the floor. Whatever happened? The grandmother replied that she didn't know either. Then the girl replied that she needed a good rest, and she would pour some water for her. Very quickly she ran to the well to fetch her some water. She did it lightning fast and immediately stood in front of her grandmother with a cup of water. Xiaoyi decided to ask Granny directly if she had any sweet potatoes because she was very hungry. But it turned out that Granny didn't have any sweet potatoes. How could that be? She had heard that Grandma grew potatoes and had lots of them, but Grandma explained to Xiaoyi that Grandma doesn't grow potatoes here, she grows scarecrows. Xiaoyi couldn't believe what her grandmother told her. Was she being deceived? The girl was already disappointed. Suddenly someone knocked on the door. The girl went to the door and asked who was there. Turns out it was her dad. She really felt her daddy's presence, and for a few moments she was very happy. But a father who deceives his children is not a good father. Her father said her daddy was here to take her home, and the girl said there were no sweet potatoes here at all, and he lied to her. And now she doesn't trust him. But the father said how could he lie to her? Turns out he brought lots of sweet potatoes for her. The girl was very happy. She hugged her daddy and kissed him and said he was the best daddy in the world. Xiaoyi immediately started eating the sweet potatoes and asked if it was all for her. Her father said it was all for her. Then Xiaoyi ate the sweet potatoes and told her father that she had broken through. But her father knew about it as soon as it happened. He was very happy for her. Xiaoyi told her father that she was very hungry, and if she could eat all the potatoes. Her father replied that as soon as we got home she could eat them all. Finally Xiao Chen's biggest son returned home from his journey. The first to greet him was the elf girl. She was happy that her brother had returned. She laughed and said that he had come back too quickly and they didn't even have time to go rescue him. To which he replied that he thought they didn't plan to rescue him at all. The elf told him that his father had told me to rescue him, adding that Xiao Chen had such a strong body that weak shamans were no match for him and wouldn't hurt him. But the big guy was upset. Even though his father was right, the elder brothers could still go to his aid. True, but in the end, he wasn't kidnapped. He was lured in by a tasty meal. Xiao Chen had nothing to say to his sister. She asked why there was no one here and where Xiaoyi was usually. The girl said that her father went to pick her up from the old lady. She doesn't know exactly when they will be back, but she thinks it will be soon. The big guy was thinking about what to do, but the girl told him to just wait for a while and they would be back soon. He waited for his father and sister and finally saw them at the door. He was happy that they finally came home. His father and sister were also happy to see him. His sister hugged her brother, and his father told him that since he hadn't seen him, Xiao Chen had become even bigger. But he almost forgot. There was something he had to tell his father. His father asked him if he wanted to tell him something very important. The old lady finally got a visit from her son, who had been away for a long time. But he noticed that his mom's face was very pale. What's wrong with her? The old woman was very happy to see her son. She told him that everything was fine. She just fell down accidentally. The man asked why she was so careless. Weren't there any children here to take care of her? The grandmother replied that little Xiaoyi had been taking very good care of her all this time, but she left a little before he came. The man told the mum to go rest for a while and her son would go to worship God. Thanks to God's help, her son was able to earn a lot of money this time. The grandmother replied that it was the right thing to do and not to neglect his grace. She picked up this statue when she was planting the effigy in the ground. At first she didn't think there was anything special about the sculpture. Every time after her son worships the statue and listens to its instructions, then he earns a huge amount of money in his journey. The man knelt down in front of the statue and began to thank her for her instructions and hoped that the statue would continue to take care of them in the future. After these words, the man bowed to the statue and waited for a response. The statue did not respond for a few minutes, then he bowed again and asked what business he should do and asked the deity to guide him. Well, there was still no answer. Usually the sculpture would answer right away. This was very strange. It turns out this god was not going to answer him. He thought about what had happened. Perhaps it was all about his insincerity. He fell to his knees and started praying to this demonic creature. It was 6 hours after the man diligently bowed and prayed to this demon. His mom asked why he was still kneeling. He should get up quickly. As the man started to rise to his feet, suddenly he fell down. The woman did not understand what was happening, and why her son fell as if someone had knocked him down. Then the man started to get up again, and told his mother to go rest, and he needed to go outside. The man ran out into the street very quickly, and his mother did not understand where he was going so fast because he had just returned. It seemed to the old woman that her son was hiding something from her. And in the restaurant, father and son were talking about what had happened. The father asked his son if he was sure that the shaman's fortress was exactly where he had indicated. His son was completely convinced. He asked his father, is he going to take Xiaoyi there to find an opportunity for her to break through? He had actually thought about it before, but after Xiaoyi broke through he was no longer interested. His son replied that it was unfair. Even Xiaoyi had broken through and he was still the same person he was. It seemed like all of his siblings had broken through except Xiao Bing. Suddenly, a bird with a red bandage around its neck flew into the room. It screamed and flew around the room where the father and son were sitting at the table. Suddenly, with a crashing sound, this bird flew into the window and broke it. He told his son to quickly catch this stinking pigeon. How many times has it broken this window already? The boy wanted to catch it, but his sis said that if he refused to do so, his sis wouldn't forget about him. Xiao Lu was furious. He told his son that it's time to catch this pigeon today. They'll have a delicious soup. It turns out this pigeon belonged to an elf. She realized they would come here. Her father knows her too well. The pigeon called a bao had to be hidden away because Xiao Qin didn't even think about it. The father turned to his daughter Xiaolan, saying that her pigeon had broken too many windows and now she had to give it away to make soup out of it. Of course, she didn't want to give a bao away because he had been growing up with her for years and she couldn't make soup with him. Her father replied that it was okay, she wouldn't have to do that. The girl kept telling them not to touch the pigeon. He had learned some information for them. Xiao Qin said that he would make soup out of this pigeon, and asked his father for permission to catch and cook it. But his father told his son to wait. Xiao Qin was ready to make a soup out of it that would smell good, but his father said he had to find out first before he could act. Did this pigeon really know something important? He asked his daughter what a bao had told her that was so important. She said that the pigeon had told her that there was something wrong with the animals on the west side of our village. When her father asked her what was wrong with them, she said that the small animals that used to be sweet and gentle were now behaving very aggressively. Recently, one of the sparrows even attacked and beat up a bao the pigeon. But can a sparrow really be that big to beat a pigeon? The size of the two birds is not equal at all. A bao would have no problem swallowing a sparrow, it would be perfectly fine. Daughter told father that what the pigeon said was true and there were more and more of these abnormal animals. But the big man was still thinking that he wanted to try the pigeon soup. Suddenly, the village headman walked into the restaurant and called out to the owner. Xiao Lu saw the village head started cleaning the restaurant and asked what was wrong. He replied that something strange was happening on the west side, so he wanted to ask him and Xiao Lan to go with him to see what was going on. Xiao Lu thought that it's true that it's not all that simple in this case. But what kind of normal person would work for free? He wanted to talk himself out of it, and said that there were too many things to do in the restaurant. The old man understood what Xiao Lu wanted and said that of course it wasn't free and he had allocated money from the village's security fund. As soon as he showed the bag of money, the father of many children immediately disappeared in front of him. He was already standing with his daughter behind him at the exit and asked why the headman was still standing there. But everyone looked at him in surprise and wondered how he had teleported so quickly. At the same time, the old man and the father and daughter went to the place where they had to look around. They had been walking for 3 hours and the village headman asked when they would reach their destination. But Xiao Lu replied that at the speed the village head was walking, they would not be able to reach their destination in 2 days. If the village head had not followed them, he and his daughter would probably have returned to the restaurant long ago. The village chief asked if Xiao Lan had any luck finding their destination. No, but she sensed something strange up ahead. They needed to walk around a bit and see what it was. Suddenly a pigeon flew towards them. It was screaming very loudly to attract attention. He immediately sat on the girl's hands, and she asked him what was wrong. The pigeon told her that 3 miles ahead was a mutant rabbit with a very strong attacking power. But who would benefit from the rabbit being stronger? After all, it's just a rabbit. Suddenly some small furry creature ran across the road. Everyone was surprised at how fast this creature was. It looks like it's that rabbit. It's so fast that even she couldn't see exactly where it was. It must be one of the animals the villagers told about. These creatures are really too horrible. The old man was frightened and said that the youth should protect the weak old man. Xiao Lu remembers that this old man is extremely strong, but he starts to weaken as soon as he encounters a problem. It's better to forget about it and just ignore his antics anymore. This rabbit very suddenly pounced on the real people in front of him. Xiao Lu had time to react and used his tightened fist to stop the creature. With a powerful punch, the man sealed this rabbit into the ground. Now he didn't realize who he was, where he was, and what was going on. At last they were able to examine the creature. It was burning with an incomprehensible flame. Surely it was a rabbit? What is this strange rabbit? Why is it so fast? And the girl told the headman not to come any closer because she feels that the rabbit's weakness is only temporary. The headman replied that it would be all right. As the head of the village, he should not back down when faced with a problem. Suddenly the rabbit came to its senses and jumped up, its eyes glowing with red flames like a demon. The rabbit pounced at the offender who had hit him, and tried to claw at his throat. Xiao Lu reacted again. His hand was still at the titanium stage, but he quickly used the next attack called Unquenchable Flame. Even an immortal would be crippled if struck by his unquenchable flame. The hellfire made the rabbit burst into flames in an instant. Now it would definitely die. After a few seconds, the mutated rabbit was no longer breathing. It fell to the ground and turned into a large roasted piece of meat. Xiao Lu was happy about this turn of events. The fried rabbit was ready. He asked his daughter and the village headman if they wanted to eat the meat, because it turned out with so much flavor. The flavor of meat roasting on the unquenchable flame is simply wonderful. Is it really as delicious as it smells? The old man tried to hold his breath to resist the smell, but he was tired of restraining his appetite. It was really annoying. But since Xiao Lu was asking for it so much, the old man could afford to deal with this piece of meat. It really was incredibly delicious. So much so that the old man couldn't stop. Xiao Lu said that an old man at his age I need to eat so much meat. But the old man was saying that Xiao Lu would be ashamed of himself for trying to take away the old man's food. The girl was upset that they had killed the rabbit. She originally wanted to communicate with him, but it was too fast. The girl felt that there was someone nearby. She looked into the bushes and saw a sheep and told her daddy. It seemed to be the same mutated sheep as the rabbit. It had red demonic eyes. The old man was scared and hid behind Xiao Lu's back, while saying that it was his unwavering responsibility and duty to protect the life of the elderly village headman. But Xiao Lu had no doubt that the old man would run away first. The father turned to his daughter and said that he was about to treat her to some fresh roasted mutton. First he was going to tie her up for interrogation, and if he wasn't satisfied with the answer, he would score her. At first the sheep aimed at the man, but when he started to use fire magic the sheep started to run away. This sheep was also very fast, but Xiao Lu was faster. He managed to hit the sheep while it jumped up the mountain and tried to get away. The sheep was injured. It started falling down the cliff. The father and daughter came down to it very quickly. Xiao Lu acted as he thought. He tied the sheep up and tied it to a tree. He then told his daughter to ask her what happened to the animals on the mountain. While the girl was chatting with the sheep, then the old man and Xiao Lu sat eating rabbit meat. The girl asked the sheep why it had become so angry. The father asked his daughter if she had learned anything, but she said that she had not learned anything yet. Then he told Xiao Lan to trust daddy with the matter. After all, he just wanted some sweet and sour lamb ribs. The girl asked the cute sheep to tell the whole truth and quickly so as not to suffer any torment. Xiao Lu was not going to wait long, and if it was so difficult to get this sheep to confess, he would act in his own way. He tied up the sheep and hung it over the fire, saying that they would roast it first. A barbecue cooked slowly must taste delicious. Finally he got his way. The sheep screamed and tried to say something to the girl. The girl told father that the sheep had finally spoken, so you should be careful with it. Xiao Lu was happy to hear this, but the sheep had been holding on for a long time. Then he asked his daughter what the sheep had said, but the daughter said that the sheep didn't know anything. This answer did not satisfy Xiao Lu. This stinking sheep was too easy to make a roast dish out of. He decided to use his titanium fist and make this sheep into a chop. Then he threw some powerful punches, but he didn't try to kill the sheep. After those blows, he stopped and said he was giving it one last chance. The half-dead sheep mumbled something quietly, as if it was starting to talk. Then the daughter said that this sheep remembered everything. She said that a few days ago she went into the cave on top of the mountain, and after coming out of it became like this. Xiao Lu was curious about the cave, but the daughter said that was all she could find out. This is all very strange. The little white rabbit had the same characteristics as this sheep, and its eyes were also red. Once their red eyes dissipate, their life immediately ends. The girl closed the sheep's eyes and told it to reincarnate with peace of mind. It's about time to go and see what's going on up there on that mountain top. For quite a while this team climbed up the mountain. Night had fallen. Because of the old man's turtle speed, they only reached here by nightfall. The old man has been here before but doesn't remember why there's a cave here. The father asked his daughter if she could sense what was inside. The daughter replied that the atmosphere inside is disorderly. There are dozens of animals similar to those evil degenerates. Well, that was not good news that there are dozens of creepy mutants inside. After a few seconds, horrible red-colored demonic eyes looked at them from the cave. At this time, clouds covered the starry sky and the light from it became so dim that even at a distance of 3 feet nothing could be seen. The old man hid behind a rock away from the cave and said that he had faith in Xiao Lu. He could do it. The pigeon that was helping the team suddenly flew away frightened. It seems there might be more hidden dangers in this cave. When father and daughter entered the cave, immediately a lot of bats took to the air. It was too dark, so the father lit a light with an eternal flame. He was going to see who lives in this cave and what's going on here. As soon as he switched on the light, he saw that there were a lot of fierce animals looking at him and his daughter. There were different dogs with glowing red eyes like demons trying to attack the congregation. Xiao Lu didn't have time to realize anything before these ferocious creatures pounced on him. Xiao Lu is a very mighty man, so he used the power of the eternal flame to get all the horrible beasts out of his way. The girl thought about the fact that these cute animals definitely had no intentions of becoming like this no shit, and she can't let them be sacrificed in vain. The elven girl thought about what could be done in such a case. How could they be saved? She thought that she would like to use the power of purification. At the same moment she shone a very bright light, and shouted for this place to be cleansed of the foulness. Father fell to the ground in surprise. He had never seen such power before. That bright light began to illuminate the faces of those ferocious animals with red eyes. Then that light began to absorb everything in its path and purify it from the foulness. After a while, the elves stopped glowing brightly. All the animals that were here seemed to return to normal. They were no longer angry. The bull just started eating the grass as it was supposed to. Now he didn't want human meat. The animals began to calmly leave the cave. They were normal now. Every time his children showed strength, the same strength would appear in their father. Now he had obtained the ability to purify. Xiaolan stood looking at all this with astonishment. The father spoke to his daughter. His daughter had broken through. He was happy about it. He stroked her head and said that she had done well. But he had originally planned to take these animals home to roast and eat them. But it turned out that she had purified them, which was a pity. The girl was surprised that food was more important to her father than her breakthrough. Xiao Lu pleased the old man and told him it was okay to come out. Now it was safe to see what was inside. The headman saw that the animals were calmly leaving the cave and were behaving quite normally. Xiao Lu called out to the village chief and told him to stop looking around. Everyone had already left, and they could go deep inside the cave. But the old man said that Xiao Lu could go first, and he, the weak old man, would just follow him. But Xiao Lu knew how weak this old man was. Now the three of them went to the cave, Xiao Lu going first. The father and the girl walked quite steadily, but the old man was always nervous. The village chief accidentally stepped on Xiao Lu's foot. Xiao Lu didn't realize what had happened and abruptly stopped and turned around. The old man didn't have time to stop in surprise and hit his head on the man's back. The old man told Xiao Lu not to stop and kept walking forward. But Xiao Lu did not understand what was happening to the headman. If the headman was in such a hurry, why didn't he go first? But the old man told Xiao Lu to bully the old and weak old man. His legs suddenly got sick and he needed someone to carry him. But Xiao Lu didn't understand at what point is this old man old and weak. Finally they came to a strange place. There were many holes in the walls. After looking around they realized that this place was very much like an anthill. The father asked his daughter to use her powers to see which way led to the end of the cave. After the verdict, she received the ability to sense living creatures from the unclean but did not receive anything to explore the area. But still, from one cave she felt a strange aura. Feeling the strange energy, she took her father there. For some time they walked along a very long and narrow corridor. After half an hour they came to some abandoned place where it seems there were once people. The old man looked around and thought, why is everything broken here? Xiao Lu ordered everyone to look around and say something unusual. A man found a small head of a demonic creature on the floor. He picked it up and asked his daughter if she could sense any strange energy from it. Xiaolan used her power and started scanning the object. She then replied that it had the same aura as those mutant animals outside. The old man took this figurine in his hands and said that if this statue wasn't destroyed, he would put it in his sacred collection. Xiao Lu shouted that this stone was evil, and the old man immediately tossed this head up. The old man shouted for Xiao Lu to throw this figurine away as soon as possible because it was too early for the old man to die. Xiao Lu had definitely seen this broken sculpture somewhere before, he just couldn't remember where. But then he remembered that it was a miniature version of the sculpture he had seen in the succubus cave. Looks like he'll have to visit the succubus cave to see if they're involved in this. The old man suddenly felt that the mountain was in great danger, so he decided to support it. Alright, now we can head back here, there is nothing else worthwhile here. The old man questioned Xiao Lu, are they really leaving this place already? The animals mutated because of this sculpture, and now that it's broken, it won't happen again in the future. The old man threw a huge piece of rock and sat on Xiao Lu's back to carry it. The old man was very frightened by this small demonic head and would not want to see it. It seems that they had already searched everything here and the matter was done, and they could go back. It had been a few days since everyone had traveled back to the village. The white-haired boy was worried about his dad not leaving the room for a few days, and was he alright? Xiao Lu had been sitting in front of the stone figurine for 3 days now, and still hadn't received any answer. Because of this stone, he hadn't eaten or drank for 3 days and 3 nights and had developed circles under his eyes. He still hoped that the stone figurine would respond in some way. He sat and rubbed the stone head on the left and right sides. He then began to look at the stone head under the light, trying to find something. Then he started threatening the figurine that if it continued to ignore him he would finish its mustache. But alas, this figurine really made this father lose face. He studied this figurine for 3 days, it didn't even move and stands there like a dead man. Now how is he supposed to explain to the villagers that it was the stone demon that created those bloodthirsty animals that attacked their homes, if it didn't look like a statue? Let alone take it home. His white-haired son came up to the father and said he had something to tell him. The father replied that he would listen to him, but first get Xiao Bing here. The son looked at his exhausted and hungry father and didn't understand what he was doing. He very quickly brought his sister called Xiao Bing. His pretty daughter asked her father what was the matter and why did he call her here. He took the demon head figurine with him and said that they needed to go for a walk with daddy. When the girl asked where they were going, her father said they were going to the succubus cave. The white-haired boy thought that Xiao Bing was a cold queen, as always acting like a good girl only in front of her father. But then he remembered that he just wanted to talk to his father about something. The father looked at his son and asked him what he wanted to say to him. But it was getting dark and they had to hurry, if it wasn't important enough to talk about it when his father got back. Before the boy could say anything, his sister and father had already left. He knew that when his dad was focused on something it was hard to reach him, but he should be back soon anyway. But as soon as Debeo thought about it, his father appeared in front of him. He said his father wouldn't be at the restaurant for a while, so he had to take care of everything. The son replied that he understood, but he wanted to say something. Again his dad didn't let him finish, and he stood stupidly alone. Father and daughter had traveled to the succubus cave not just to learn the secret of the sculpture, but also to hone and improve her skills. After all the elders of her race lived there, she needed to observe and learn from them. The girl wasn't going to cross her father, and she just agreed with him. A few hours later they reached the cave. Last time Xiao Lu visited the succubus cave to save Xiao Xing, he destroyed everything in his way. But he doesn't even know if that sculpture is still there? When he got closer to the cave, he saw something unusual. This place used to be different. The entrance was beautifully decorated with glowing Chinese lanterns and brightly colored flowers. It turned out that in such a short time the cave had not only been renovated but also decorated. From there, one of the succubi looked out and asked what they were looking for. Xiao Lu wondered if there were such unsightly succubi. He told the girl to call the cave master to discuss something with him, to which he received the reply that their master had just arrived and no one was allowed to see her. Xiao Lu said she must be just a newcomer, I don't know who he is. But she rudely replied asking if he was deaf. He needs to get out of here quickly, and this is not a place where he can just walk in quietly. Xiao Lu lit his hand with flames and said that it was better not to force him to use force. She immediately realized it was an unquenchable fire but for some reason decided to fight. She shouted that he could try to attack if he had the courage. Xiao Lu did not hesitate to use his mighty technique called Titan Fist. His fist was about to approach the girl's face but suddenly someone asked him to stop. The other succubus called him a great god and said that she was just a new girl and that he should forgive her if she had offended him in any way. She then apologized and said that she was very happy to see them. Now they could pass on in peace. Xiao Lu realized that it was just a misunderstanding and he wouldn't pay attention to it anymore. Okay, they had to move on. The new girl asked how dare she let them inside, but the more experienced succubus hit the stupid dumbass on the head with such force something fell to the floor. She didn't realize what she was being hit for, she just wanted to protect this cave. But the other girls said she deserved it to be beaten to death. If she didn't show up now her body would be shattered. This is the same horrible person who killed the previous master, and she just almost destroyed their new home. Now she understood everything and was very scared. She apologized to her friend and thanked her for saving her. Now this cave looked completely different. It smelled very nice and everything looked amazing. Suddenly the cave was different. The new master must be a man of good taste. It seemed that the last time he had destroyed everything in the cave it had done them good. The young succubus looked around. It was quite beautiful. A girl greeted them and told the dear guests to follow her. Xiao Lu wondered why they were all so polite today, but his daughter reminded him that he must have forgotten that he had beaten them all up before. Their new master is inside and is looking forward to seeing them. They can happily pass through. Meanwhile, she herself quickly ran away and said that it was time for her to run far away. Xiao Lu smelled a great refreshing scent, but his daughter told her father not to enter this room as she could smell the smell of conspiracy. But the father replied that she shouldn't worry because he is not only very strong but also has an IQ of about 300. Who knows who else will get hurt? And then he took his daughter's hand and they went inside. There was a huge vat with a very smelly liquid. The new succubus master, something must be wrong with her head. Why did she invite them to the bath? A beautiful demonic woman came out of the water and greeted the stranger. She was happy to meet the person who defeated the previous lord. Xiao Lu approached the girl and asked if she was their new overlord. This succubus came out of the water without even covering her body. She was completely naked. She answered him that absolutely right, she is their new lord and master. She came very close to Xiao Lu and tried to seduce him. He looked at her and asked is she really going to seduce him in front of his own child. He is very sensitive about raising his children, so not every woman can be their mother. It seems the magic of this succubus didn't work. She didn't realize what was wrong and how could this be possible. Suddenly she made a huge whirlwind in the water and flew up into the air. She asked Xiao Lu is he really not afraid of her seducing him? Of course he is not afraid. As long as she is brave any woman can try to be the mother of his children. But the succubus replied that he would not be able to resist her charms and he would die without even knowing what he died of. His daughter didn't even know what to tell her. Her daddy wasn't going to be reunited with their real mother anymore. The incredibly seductive succubus thought about how hard it must be to become the mother of his children. She slowly began to lower herself down. While doing this you could fully see her entire body. She made a small hump out of the water and sat on it. If he comes into the pool and swims with her, she might think about it. Did this woman really want to be her mother? The girl told her father that it was a trap and they had to be very careful. But her father didn't answer. He seemed to be paralyzed or affected by magic. Her father was charmed. She felt that this pool was very strange. The girl didn't know what was wrong with it, but her father must not touch the water. The girl screamed and said they didn't need a mum like that, definitely not her. But it seems he couldn't be stopped. He said he had finally waited for his wife Ling Huan. But the daughter tried to stop him, saying it was an illusion. Her father was enchanted and he saw Ling Huan. He really believed it was her, and he hadn't seen me in years. The succubus charms had worked. She told her darling to come closer. Xiao Lu lowered his hand into the water. He was too exhausted, and he wanted to see his wife. The succubus then smiled and told him to now get into the water completely. The daughter had to think of something. Can't her father get into the pool? She pulled out her demon whip and screamed for Daddy to come to his senses, and then slapped him on the back with all her might to sober him up a little. The succubus queen laughed. It was funny to her to realize that an ordinary pool and his succubus clan could easily subdue the one who killed the last head. Suddenly something happened that the succubus had not expected in any way. She was very surprised. She looked at the water and wondered how was this possible. Xiaolu wiped his hand with a napkin and said that the water here was too cold for swimming. She couldn't understand how he was able to resist this power. No one in the world could do it. Xiaolu replied that the power of the pool no longer affected him. This pool has very strange water. As soon as he touched it, he felt a titanic corrosive force. This force can directly corrode the soul of the person it touches. It was a pity that the water was so cold, otherwise he would have been happy to bathe. Xiaolu turned to his wife and told her to come home with him and be the mother of his children. But the succubus was not happy with this turn of events. She shouted that this was too much and struck her whip. He told Xiao Bing to watch very carefully what is happening now. The girl was confused. She didn't understand why she needed to watch. She asked her father to tell her what exactly she needed to see, and when the demonic whip was about to touch her face, she remembered what her father had told her before. When they were still approaching the cave, he had told her that when they were at the succubi's house and needed to watch them closely and learn. Now she understood. It appeared her father wanted her to learn the skills the head of the succubi had. She immediately pulled out her whip and fought off the succubus supreme's attack. The demonic lady with a gorgeous body was surprised at how this young girl had learnt her whip technique. The father didn't doubt his daughter for a second, and told her that it was a very good job. The battle continued. They both struck each other's whip at the same time. Their whips came together during the blow and tangled. It was something incredible. Now they were playing tug-of-war, but it seems this young girl was not so simple. The powerful demon lady and lord of the cave noticed that she was starting to lose. She decided to let go of her whip and it flew very quickly towards her opponent. The young girl did not expect such a turn of events and fell to the floor. Her father managed to catch her and said that it was a good job, but now it was Daddy's turn. From such a long tug-of-war, the lord of the cave got tired and fell into the water. Xiao Bing was lying on her father's lap and wanted to say something to him, but he said it was all right and Xiao Bing had done a very good job. He praised his daughter and stroked her head to calm her down. At such a young age, his daughter is pretty quick to grasp things on the fly. She even stole her technique in the blink of an oka's eye. That's just incredible. Father and daughter looked at the cave lord. It seemed she didn't want to fight anymore. She wore a delicate pink dressing gown that didn't hide her beauty. But how can you call it stealing if she showed it all herself? Now this red-haired deviless asked what was the purpose of them coming here. They didn't just come to watch her take a bath, right? Xiaolu replied that if she hadn't reminded him, he would have forgotten why he came here. The lady with the beautiful figure asked what he wanted to talk about. He started to say that he was a distinguished man and of course he should be rewarded for seeing her take a bath, to offer a reward for watching whoever saw it. Only Daddy could think of such a thing. This angered the succubus lord and she angrily asked what reward he wanted. She quickly pulled out her devil whip and crushed the stone behind her. Then she attacked Xiaolu, but he warned her to stop. He said that if she didn't want to, she didn't need to. There's a child here, why such violence? Why does she act so cruelly? But she was not going to stop attacking him, saying that she had to stop this nonsense. Somehow he quickly forgot that his daughter, and he had just acted against her. Seeing her in such a relaxed state, the Lord thought that this girl had not used all her power, and such a talent of this little girl was a bit frightening. But then again, in reality she really doesn't want to fight this guy. After all, his tyrannical strength is higher than hers and she has no advantage. Moreover, if the pool couldn't corrode his spirit, then his strength can't be underestimated. No wonder the past overlord died at his hands, since he is not that easy. She is more upset that the little girl stole her special whip art skills so easily. Now she was ready to discuss everything. Xiaolu remembered that they used to have a sculpture in the cave. Why am I not here now? The succubus lord asked which sculpture he was talking about. Xiaolu took out a small head of a demonic creature from his pocket and placed it in front of this incredibly seductive lady with horns. She walked up to this small sculpture and examined it for a few seconds. She really looked a lot like the other sculptures in the cave. Then she stepped back and defiantly coughed. What was that just now? Xiaolu now took out the head of that demon statue and looked at the madam. After that, Xiao Lu once again asked where this sculpture was located, but she replied that all their sculptures were already broken, they didn't have anything else left. If they were really broken, he wouldn't be able to find out anything else here. When he confronted the succubus cave, a small number of them were broken by him. But who else were they destroyed by? Then he asked her if she knew when and how it happened. She replied that even before she took over the Red Devil Cave, all the demon statues had been smashed to pieces. But how exactly they were broken they were still figuring out. It was all very strange. Why is it so confusing and nobody knows anything? Then he asked the lady to show him these broken stones. The horny girl said they threw them away a long time ago. Of course this upset Xiao Lu, and it meant that she only had one clue left. There is a spirit hidden inside this sculpture, and this spirit can influence the consciousness of the beings around it. And since they won't recognize anything else here, they're leaving. And then the lord of the cave threw a talisman to the girl and she caught it in the air. Then she told her that it was a token of her succubus clan. People with succubus blood can send messages through it. If she finds out something about the sculpture, she will let them know. It's a wooden token, let it stay in Xiao Bing's hands. Maybe it will be useful to them in the future. On the way out of the cave they were thanked for visiting them and are on their way back. Again it was a long walk back to the house. Xiao Lu was very tired. Such a rhythm of life was not easy even for a powerful man. Finally they arrived home. The white-haired boy was happy and greeted his father. The father immediately asked how things were going at the restaurant, and was everything all right? The son replied that everything was fine, but they were bombarded with requests. Their restaurant is in the eastern part of the village, with a rice field a little further away, and many of the people who work there live on the outskirts of the village. Although they would like to come to eat there, they are too far away, so they are hoping that a door-to-door delivery service will be opened, and they will pay for it, of course. This was a great idea and Xiao Lu approved of it. This way the problem of queues could be solved. As for the question of who would go, Xiao Qun could handle it perfectly. Xiao Lu immediately sent himself to meet the old man to talk to him about it. In order to fulfill the food delivery service, of course, the village elder must be notified in advance. Xiao Lu quickly arrived at the headman's house. The headman was just training and he asked what happened. Xiao Lu went to the headman and told him that they have a new restaurant business and hope that he will help promote it in the village. After telling Xiao Lu, the headman immediately closed the doors in front of him. When asked why he didn't want to listen to him, the headman replied that he was most afraid of trouble and he had been too busy for a few days and was a bit tired, and it was best to forget about it. Xiao Lu told the old man that he had heard from the widow from Beitsuan that he had recently visited her house. After a moment, the old man opened the door and said that Xiao Lu's restaurant is their village's image project, so of course he is obliged to help promote it. Ever since the restaurant opened a takeaway service, they never eat on time anymore. Every day when lunchtime comes around, the 7 of them punctually take their father's orders and run to deliver them all over the village. Even though Dad is always very busy and tired in the kitchen, he says he is happy. People were discussing the restaurant, and said that Lu offers a very convenient service. And someone also heard that if someone sends a note via carrier pigeons ordering food in advance, it will be delivered to their door in the afternoon, and it is very convenient. Some people waited very hard for this food delivery, as the children would start crying because they were hungry. The big man was thinking how fast time was going by, because he had just started the delivery, and it was already night. It's good that there's only one package left to deliver to Aunt Shang's family. We should hurry up and deliver this food and go home. But the guy saw some red light in the grass and he wondered what it was. Pulling back the grass, he saw something that looked like a child's toy. It's a figurine, but it looks strange. What is it? Why is it emitting such a strange and blinding red light? The guy started pointing his finger in the face of this demonic creature. But suddenly he remembered about the delivery because he wasn't done yet. He had to hurry. He brought that little demon figure with him just in case. It seemed he was already completely late, and thought about being scolded again. God only knows how many customers had scolded him lately. Finally he ran to where he was supposed to send the order. He knocked on the door and was opened by an irritated mother with a child. She asked why was he so slow in delivering this food, but he replied that they were too late to order, so he delivered it late. And it was a bit of a surprise for them. That's why he came so late. The woman quickly grabbed the food and slammed the door in the guy's face. The big boy thought about how tiring it was to be scolded all day long. He began to remember every person who told him why is he so slow at work. These thoughts began to consume him. They took over his mind. The guy got angry and shouted that he was sick of it. He was just trying to do his job. Something strange started to happen to him. He hit the ground with his fist in anger. There was a big crack where he hit the ground. He immediately looked out the window. In the house a child was playing with colorful cubes. He seemed to be happy. An unknown voice in his head told him to go into the house and kill everyone. This voice in his head promised him that after he killed everyone he would feel better. He opened the door. The little boy hadn't noticed anything yet. He was just happy that he was making a great house out of cubes. The boy's eyes turned red like a demon's. That voice in his head was telling him to kill this boy so he can get stronger, he can get better. He needs to kill him soon. The little boy asked Chen's brother what happened because he noticed that Chen looked kind of strange. The boy asked him maybe he wanted to play with his building blocks too. But it wasn't Xiao Chen anymore, this guy was possessed. The little boy asked him what was wrong with him. The kid didn't understand what was going on. He asked if he needed the building blocks. He could lend them to him. Xiao Chen grabbed the child by the neck and at the same time the voice in his head ordered him to kill that child. But he was very lucky as he came to his senses in time and saw what he was doing. He immediately let the child go to the ground and was shocked at what he was doing. Chen was horrified at how he could do such a thing, as he is very kind and doesn't wish harm to anyone. The child was frightened and cried very hard when his mum came running in. Xiao Chen thought that he couldn't let Enchang know that he was here or he wouldn't be able to stay in the village. The big guy started to run away from there very quickly. He was very scared at the thought of letting his father down. Luckily he was woken up by Xiaonin's scream. That was the little boy's name. Otherwise he was scared to even imagine what he could do. But this was unnatural to him. Why did he suddenly become like this? He took out this little demon statue and realized that it could be because of it. It seemed to be the demon controlling his mind. It was a bad statue and he didn't want to see it again. The guy just threw it away as far away as possible. Finally Xiao Chen returned home. Debao saw him and he immediately noticed that his brother looked sad. He thought that maybe he had been scolded. The white-haired guy asked the big guy what was wrong with him. To the tired and exhausted Chen replied that he was fine. But Xiao Chen was always so cheerful. So why was he in such a bad mood today? Debao offered his brother something to eat as there was food left in the kitchen for him. He had been working all day and was very tired and needed to eat. Xiao Chen thanked his big brother for the offer but replied that he wasn't hungry. The big guy felt that something was wrong with him. He felt some anxiety and anger. Debao noticed that Xiao Chen seemed to be in trouble. But Daddy was not home right now. It was better not to touch him for now. Maybe things would get better soon. Then the white-haired guy suggested that his brother should just go rest, and he would cook dinner for everyone. But it seemed that his brother didn't even listen to him. He was trying to sort out his thoughts. What was wrong with him? Chen sat and watched his older brother work. Debao was actively running around and cooking dinner. Silly thoughts came into Xiao Chen's mind. He wondered why Dad was so serious about Debao and not him, and why Dad always goes to rescue the others but didn't come when he was in danger. Why is Xiaoyi forgiven for any mistakes she wouldn't make and I am not? Why do they all have a chance to become stronger and he doesn't? He looks strange just because he's different from normal people. The guy started to feel the same thirst again. An unknown voice kept telling him in his head to kill his brother. If he killed his brother, he could get his father's attention. Xiao Chen once again turned into a monster. He could only hear the voice in his head repeating the same thing. He must kill to become stronger. And the big guy already got up to kill his white-haired brother. But suddenly at this moment, his sister Xiaoyi walked up to him. She wanted to ask her brother something. She knew that he had been working all day and was very tired, so she asked why he wasn't resting yet. At first, the guy lit up with wild rage, but it was short-lived. He came to his senses and thought he really needed to rest. He ran quickly into the room. The evil spirit seemed to have left him. He slammed the door behind him and was horrified that just now he really wanted to kill his older brother. He threw the food basket on the floor, covered his face with his hands and thought to himself that he must be crazy. How could he have the idea to kill his older brother? He thought to himself that he was so useless that he couldn't do anything but eat food. Xiao Chen picked up the food basket and saw the same red demon he had thrown away. But how could this be possible? He remembered that he had thrown it far away into the grass. A few days had passed since then. His father was at home working hard in the kitchen. Debao came to him and told him that Uncle Chen had come and he was not only behaving strangely, but he also looked very strange. The boy thought that his father should go and see him. Xiaolu asked his son what the man looked like. The white-haired boy replied that the man had red bloodshot eyes. Xiaolu decided that he still needed to check on Chen to see how he was doing. He arrived at his house late at night when the restaurant was closed. In front of the entrance he saw an interesting and very beautiful flower. Lu leaned over to the flower to get a better look at it, and he wanted to smell it, but the flower quickly wilted. Was the flower so disgusted that he looked at it? There was clearly something wrong here. Something must have taken away the life force of this flower, otherwise it wouldn't have wilted so quickly. He remembered that when he took Xiaoyi back a few days ago everything was fine here. It's only been a few days since then. Well, everything here has become so messed up that it's creepy. Maybe something happened in the last few days while he was gone. Looks like Qingxing was in some kind of danger. He didn't come to see me to thank Xiaoyi for looking after the old lady. Lu knocked on the door a few times but no one seemed to be there. Some kind of fog was rising behind him. He decided to push the door, and it was completely unlocked. When he opened the door he saw terrible things. Everything in the house was upside down, and the walls were cracked. Xiaoqing started calling for his aunt and brother Chen, but no one answered. Debao said he saw Qingxing's eyes and they were bloodshot. What could that mean? Xiaoyi hasn't been in the house for a few days and there's already a lot of dust everywhere. What's going on? Lu went into the room where the old woman used to sit, but there was no one in the chair. Apart from the pile of dust there was nothing else unusual, so he decided to come back in the morning to see the house again. But something else caught Xiao Lu's eye. It was the red stones. They seemed to have fallen from the prayer altar. How did he have all these stones in his house? Looking closer, Lu saw that it was half of the face of a devil statue. It is indeed half the face of a devil statue. But why is there a devil statue in Qingxing's house? And it's broken too. What the hell is going on here? Lu recalled that his son had told him that Chen had bloodshot eyes. The mutated animals on the hill behind the village also had scarlet eyes. In such a state, they lost their minds and attacked people for no reason. Xiaolu realized that Brother Chen is in terrible danger. He might be possessed. He does not know where Brother Chen has gone, but if his eyes have turned scarlet perhaps he has gone mad, and it is possible that his mother is with him. This must be found out as soon as possible to save them both. Xiaolu threw the fragment of that devil's head on the floor. He slammed the door behind him and rocks still sprinkled from the altar, and the devil's eye glowed with red light. The following events unfolded in the restaurant where all of Xiaolu's children live. The big guy was trying to sleep. He was having nightmares. He was trying to calm his thoughts. Xiaoqing kept hearing the same phrase in his head that told him to kill. These thoughts became more and more intrusive. He tried to resist. But the demon was telling him to kill his brother or he would never get stronger, and no one else could help him because he was just rubbish without a foundation. Qing shouted for the devil to get out of his head and he wouldn't kill anyone. That horrible demon had already soaked through his entire body and reached his heart. Xiaoqing felt pain in his chest and his temperature rose. But he still resisted and repeated that he would never harm his family. He realized that it was a demon trying to make him do this. It was trying to make him hurt his family. But if he couldn't get it out of his head then he would just destroy this demon. He took the food basket with the demon statue in it and went to the courtyard. Xiaoyi asked where her fifth brother was going so late. He simply told his sister that he would be back soon and went on his way. Debao and Xiaoyi stared at him, not realizing that something was wrong with him. Debao asked his sister if it was possible that Xiaoqing forgot to deliver the food. The girl said it was indeed possible. Xiaoqing went as far away from the house as possible somewhere in the field. Now he was determined to smash the damned sculpture to pieces. After finding a suitable place, he immediately threw that statue onto a rock, then started looking around to find something suitable to crush this figurine. After a while, he found a huge rock, just what he needed. Well, let's see how this stupid statue can control his thoughts after this. Xiaoqing destroyed the figurine and returned to his home in bed. But even after he crushed it, he couldn't sleep. He kept tossing and turning in bed. He still couldn't understand what was happening to him. It was like there was an emptiness in his heart, and he felt uncomfortable. But the sculpture is destroyed, which means he should sleep through the night like before, but why can't he do that? Qing turned on his other side and decided to try to sleep one more time. But suddenly he found the statue of the demon lying next to him. He quickly jumped up from the bed. He had destroyed it. Why was the statue still there? This demon's eyes glowed red. It turns out this evil is not so easy to destroy. Now the guy was scared. Why is this red demon still here? What should he do to get rid of this statue? The demon immediately answered him by telling him that he must kill his sister Xiaoyi. He must also kill his own brother named Debao. Only after he killed them would he be able to survive and become a better person. Xiao Qing shouted that he wasn't going to do that because he loves his whole family very much. Someone knocked on his room and asked if Xiao Qing was okay. It was his dad, and him still taking care of him means he loves and cares about him. The demonic statue began to glow with a completely red light. What was happening now was incredibly frightening to Qing, and he didn't know what to do. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, and want to see the next part of this crazy story, then write about it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and put a like under this video. And be sure to check out other similar videos on my channel. See you later.